Chapter 2382. When Lin Xian heard that, he sneered in disdain. The son of the third hall master? So what? Even if the third hall master was here, he wouldn't dare to do anything to me. Brat, you're dead meat. Let go of me. I won't let you go. Below, Yang Jian roared crazily. The endless power in his body wanted to attack, but it was suppressed. He could not use any of his strength. I'm dead meat? You still dare to threaten me now? Lin Xian sneered. You don't know what's good for you. Do you know that you've committed a heinous crime? Insubordination. Attacking a temple master. Openly rebelling. You deserve to die for each of these crimes. Right now, I can kill you directly. Lin Xian's voice was sonorous and powerful. It was like the hammer of Thor, ruthlessly smashing into everyone's hearts. Everyone's faces were filled with fear, and their hearts were beating wildly. The reason for that was because they discovered that what Lin Xian said was the truth. If he really wanted to punish Yang Jian according to Immortal Palace's rules, he would really be dead meat. However, everyone knew that Yang Jian's words were definitely said out of anger. He wouldn't really rebel. Sure enough, when he heard that, Yang Jian vomited blood. He was pressed to the ground and roared crazily. Damn brat, you dare to condemn me? You dare to kill me? You dare to touch me? Do you believe that my father won't forgive you? People of the three halls, come here. Save me. Yes. Hearing that, the people of the three halls came over one after another. Buzz. However, when they were halfway there, a huge blade light slashed down from the sky, splitting the ground in front of them. A huge canyon appeared, blocking everyone's path. The remaining biting cold aura on the ground made everyone's scalp go numb. Whoever dared to take a step forward would die. Hu Yidao descended from the sky. He was already following Lin Xian. How could he allow these people to rebel? Damn it! Young Master Yang didn't commit any crime. Why should he be arrested? He didn't commit any crime? Are you blind? Lin Xian snorted coldly. Xing Tian, read Immortal Palace's rules. Yes. Xing Tian walked out and said loudly, Immortal Palace's rules. First, those who rebel and betray will be beheaded. Second, those who offend their superiors will be beheaded. Third, those who disregard the rules of the palace will be executed. After 3 consecutive slashes, countless large cracks appeared in the void as one black hole after another appeared behind Xing Tian. Very good, Lin Xian said in a low voice. Yang Jian had committed all 3 crimes, and his crimes were punishable by death. Unforgivable. Now it was time for the execution. His cold voice spread in all directions, shocking everyone. At this moment, these people were all stunned. They didn't expect that things would take such a huge turn. After all, it was Yang Jian who had been overbearing all this while. The new palace master was pressured to the point that he could not breathe. But who would have thought that in the blink of an eye, the situation would change? The powerful and arrogant Yang Jian was pressed to the ground, unable to move at all. The new palace master, who had been silent all this while, now displayed an unparalleled domineering aura. He even wanted to kill Yang Jian. At the side, Pei Yuan and Xiaohui's faces were filled with fear and anger. In the distance, Hui Chen and the others were also shocked. However, among them someone said, just wait and see. At most, we'll just punish him. We won't really kill him. That was for sure. It seemed that the new palace master wanted to establish his authority, but killing Yang Jian was not worth it. After all, he was the son of the third hall master. If he killed him, the third hall master would definitely go crazy. Pei Yuan and Xiaohui, as well as the martial artists at the third hall, naturally knew this. Therefore, they pleaded for mercy. Palace master, young Master Yang was just playing with you. Yes, young Master Yang was muddle-headed and said those words. He had no intention of rebelling. Palace master, please let young Master Yang go. The people at the third hall also cried out. As for the others, they were all stunned. Playing with him? Lin Xian sneered. Who is he to play with me? What do you think the palace master is? Someone you can play with? Or do you not have me in your heart at all? Lin Xian's cold voice sounded again. His eyes were like two sharp divine swords sweeping across these people. Buzz! These people's hearts beat wildly, and they felt a chill in their hearts. They did not dare to say anything else. Below, Yang Jian roared crazily. Boy, you'd better let me go. I can pretend that this didn't happen. Otherwise, don't blame me for being rude. Don't forget that my father is the third hall master. I said execute him. What? In the distance, the 500 people were stunned. Even Hui Dao and Xing Tian were stunned. What's going on? Are we really going to kill Yang Jian? Ha 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 ha. Boy, did you see that? No one dares to kill me. Seeing this, Xing Tian laughed wildly again, and his eyes were full of disdain. Indeed, his identity was extraordinary. The third hall master was an extremely powerful and peerless powerhouse among the 9 hall masters. As the son of the third hall master, no one dared to provoke him. No one wants to kill him? I'll do it myself. Lin Xian snorted coldly, and his body emitted a strong aura. He waved his hand, and the azure dragon hand grabbed Yang Jian and suspended him in the air. The surrounding sword qi formed chains and nailed him to the ground. Ah, damn it, get out of my way! Yang Jian roared crazily. However, the sword qi formed by the great dragon's sword soul had already sealed his body and suppressed all his strength, so Yang Jian could not break free at all. Insubordination. Rebellion. Disrespect. You will be punished by 3 knives and 6 lashes and beheading. Lin Xian said coldly. Crack! He flipped his palm, and a blue saber appeared in his hand. Then he looked up and stared at Yang Jian. How dare you kill me? Try it. You're dead meat if you kill me. Yang Jian yelled crazily in the air. However, at the next moment his voice stopped, and he even let out a miserable cry. That was because the blue saber had directly pierced into his body and came out from his back. Poof! Ah! Blood spurted out and dyed the void red. Yang Jian screamed crazily in the air, and his face was distorted. Everyone was stunned by this scene. What? He really killed him. How dare he kill him? At that moment, Pei Yuan, Hui Chen, and the others were full of horror. Even Hui Dao and Xing Tian were shocked. Damn it, are you trash? Kill him! Yang Jian roared crazily. Those people in the 3rd hall recovered from the shock and gasped. Young Master Yang. At that moment, one of them could not help but rush forward. He was also a young genius in the 3rd hall. His body swayed and rushed into the air. A long sword appeared in his hand, and he slashed down in an attempt to save Yang Jian. Bang! Poof! However, at the next moment, his body was split in half from the middle. His body fell to the ground. Lin Xian slowly lowered the saber in his hand. His cold voice sounded. Whoever wants to be Yang Jian's accomplice, step forward. He was killed with a single slash. Everyone was stunned again. That's a young expert. He's very powerful. Although he's not as powerful as Yang Jian and the others, he's still terrifying. He was killed with a single slash. They could not believe it. Chapter 2383. Heavens! Why is the Temple Master so powerful? That slash had stunned the people from the 3 halls. Yang Jian's pupils constricted, and he screamed, Damn you, brat! You've been hiding your strength. He realized that Lin Xian was much more powerful than when he had fought with him previously. This caused his heart to turn cold. He felt that it might be a trap for him. In the next moment, he screamed, Let me go if you dare. I want to fight you one-on-one. I can kill you with 1 slap. Poof! Ah! However, Lin Xian ignored him. He took out another golden long saber and stabbed it into Yang Jian's body. The third purple long saber was also stabbed into Yang Jian's body. There were 3 sabers stabbed into Yang Jian's body, and his blood stained the ground. This scene shocked everyone. They didn't dare to believe it. Pei Yuan, Xiao Hui, Hou Chen, and the others were also shocked. They did not expect the new temple master to be so ruthless. Ah, damn you, brat. Kill me if you dare. Otherwise, I won't let you go. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The punishment of 3 slashes was over. Next would be 6 lashes. At this point, he waved his hand and countless lightning bolts gathered in his hand, forming a lightning whip. Crack! The lightning whip lashed out, lashing out at Yang Jian's body. His skin and flesh were torn open, and even his bones were exposed. Yang Jian's body was surrounded by lightning, and the pain almost made him pass out. Ah, kill him! Kill him! I'll take responsibility for anything that happens. Yang Jian roared crazily. However, Xiao Hui and Pei Yuan kept retreating, and their faces were full of fear. What is this? I don't dare to move. Otherwise, they would end up like Yang Jian. However, the people from the 3 halls were furious. They could not stand the fact that their young master was being tortured like this. In an instant, 3 experts rushed out. Let go of our young master. Although they were angry, they were not stupid. They did not dare to attack Lin Xian directly. After all, Lin Xian was the temple master. Thus, they directly charged forward with the intention of saving Yang Jian. As long as they could save Yang Jian, they did not need to care about the rest. However, just as the 3 of them were in midair, Lin Xian snorted coldly and slashed the lightning whip in his hand. Poof! 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 The 3 of them were cut in half at the waist. Their bodies were surrounded by countless streaks of lightning. They were charred black and emitted white smoke. The corpse fell to the ground like a clap of thunder, fiercely striking everyone's hearts. If you're not afraid of death, come at me. Lin Xian scoffed. Then he waved the lightning whip again and lashed it at Yang Jian. Yang Jian's crazed screams were extremely miserable, causing everyone's scalp to go numb. But no one dared to make a move. The sons of the great halls were extremely shocked. The other martial artists were even more stunned. Although the people from the 3 halls were furious, they didn't dare to act rashly. After all, there were still 3 charred corpses in front of them. Very quickly, the 6 lashes were finished. Yang Jian's entire body was charred black, and there was not a single spot on his body that was unharmed. Not only that, but his internal organs were also seriously injured. It could be said that Yang Jian had never suffered such a serious injury since he was young. I'll kill you. I'll definitely kill you. Yang Jian's eyes were bloodshot and he was in a daze. He opened his mouth and roared. Every time he spoke, endless black smoke would rise. His entire body was about to be roasted by the lightning. The 3 slashes and 6 whips were all over. Next, it was time to decapitate him. As he spoke, the lightning whip in Lin Xian's hand disappeared. He slowly pulled out the ancient Dragon Abyss sword. A sharp aura surged from his body and swept through the 9 heavens. What? Decapitate him? Was he really going to kill Yang Jian? Everyone's hearts were beating wildly in shock. Although Yang Jian was injured by the 3 slashes and 6 whips, his life was not in danger. With a genius like Yang Jian and the treasures in the hands of the 3rd Hall Master, he could recover very quickly. However, decapitation might not be the case. Yang Jian was directly killed. Who in the world could bring bones back to life? Even the great emperors could not do it. If he died, there would be nothing left. Therefore, everyone was stunned when they heard about decapitation. No way, he's really going to do it? Hou Chen and the other hall masters were shocked and could not believe it. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui trembled as if they had seen a devil. How dare he? Isn't he afraid of the 3rd hall master's rage? One had to know that the third hall master was ranked in the top 3 among the 9 hall masters. Moreover, his personality was extremely violent. In addition, there were countless elite powerhouses in the 3 halls. If the third hall master was angry, it would definitely be an unimaginable nightmare. What? Kid, you dare to kill me? You dare to kill me? Yang Jian was also trembling with anger. What kind of joke is this? Who in the entire immortal palace would dare to kill him? This time, Hui Dao was also stunned. Even Xing Tian could not remain calm. To be honest, he did not expect Lin Xian to really have the intention to kill. To be honest, he was very supportive of Lin Xian's show of power. After all, no one cared much about this new hall master. In fact, they even disdained him. Therefore, he felt that Lin Xian really needed to show his power. The effect of using Yang Jian's Li Wei was also the best. The previous 3 knives and 6 whips had already been effective. Didn't they see that even the hall masters' faces were full of fear? However, he did not expect that Lin Xian was unwilling to stop and still wanted to carry out the final execution. How could he know that this was already decided by Lin Xian a long time ago? This Yang Jian was very arrogant and provoked him time and time again. He even wanted to be the deputy hall master. He even wanted to replace him as the hall master. How could Lin Xian tolerate this? If he did not kill Yang Jian today, no one would take him seriously in the future. Therefore, Yang Jian would definitely die. Why are you surprised? Do you think I don't dare to kill you? Lin Xian snorted coldly. What you have committed is a capital crime. I have 100 justifiable reasons to kill you. Even if you are killed, the third hall master can't say no. Everyone was terrified. This method is too terrifying. Indeed, if he was killed according to Immortal Palace's rules, no one would be able to find fault with it. However, with the third hall master's personality, even if there was nothing wrong with him, he would still go crazy. They did not dare to imagine how chaotic Immortal Palace would be if Yang Jian was really dead. Whoosh! Lin Xian raised the ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand. No, in front. The martial artists in the third hall were stunned. Yang Jian's previous torture had already made them angry and frightened. However, they could still tolerate it. However, it was different now. Yang Jian was actually going to be killed. If Yang Jian was really dead, they would not be able to live either. Therefore, they rushed over crazily. Humph! Do you really think I don't dare to kill you? Offending your superiors and collaborating with Yang Jian to rebel. You have all committed a capital crime. Lin Xian snorted coldly and slashed out with the ancient Dragon Abyss sword in his hand. Chapter 2384. Lin Xianxian did not hold back at all with this sword strike. The power of the great dragon sword soul was completely unleashed. Together with the power of the ancient sword, it slashed forward. The martial artists from the 3 halls were all shrouded. Boom! There was an earth-shattering roar, and the sky split open in an instant. Terrifying cracks appeared on the ground, and countless sword chi pierced through the surroundings. The terrifying aura sent chills down everyone's spines. At this moment, the disciples of the halls and the surrounding young martial artists were all stunned. Isn't this sword too terrifying? Although it was not aimed at them, the aftershock made their hearts tremble. Damn it! What level had the new temple master reached? They had an unfathomable feeling. After the sword slashed down and the sword chi disappeared, these people were even more stunned. Dozens of elite martial artists and young geniuses from the 3 halls were all killed. What a terrifying sword chi! Everyone was horrified. Yang Jian's pupils constricted. He did not expect Lin Xian's strength to be far beyond his expectations. Thinking of this, a touch of fear appeared in his eyes. No, damn it, you can't kill me. Put me down, or my father will never forgive you. No one can save you, not even your father. Lin Xian's eyes were cold, and the ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed forward. No. Yang Jian was terrified, and he screamed crazily. Everyone's eyelids twitched, and they could not believe it. Poof! Blood spurted out, and a head flew up. When the sword came out, the person was killed. What? Killed? He was really killed. Yang Jian was really killed. At this moment, Hou Chen and the other hall masters' hearts beat wildly, and their faces were full of shock. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui were even trembling. Although the two of them were arrogant before, they were terrified now. The other martial artists in the distance were also shocked, and they looked at Lin Xian in horror. Hui Dao was stunned. Even Xing Tian was in a daze, and he could not believe it. Lin Xian killed Yang Jian. The third hall master would go crazy. Xing Tian opened his mouth and wanted to say something. However, Lin Xian withdrew the ancient dragon abyss sword and shouted coldly, "Xing Tian, here!" Xing Tian came to his senses and stepped forward. Lin Xian said with a heavy voice, "Use my orders to inform Immortal Palace that Yang Jinni was plotting a rebellion and was killed by me on the spot." "Yes," Xing Tian said respectfully. The others continued to hunt, and the reward for the first place remained unchanged. Whoosh! The others hurriedly left and flew in all directions. They were not keen on hunting, but wanted to escape from this place as soon as possible. The reason for that was because the atmosphere there was simply too oppressive. Lin Xian's terrifying aura and pressure made it hard for them to breathe. This was especially true for Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui, who immediately ran away. What kind of joke was this? Even Yang Jian had been killed. If they dared to act presumptuously, they would most likely be killed with a single slash. The others were also terrified, but the 500 people that Lin Xian had subdued were incomparably excited. They clenched their fists. Great! Originally, they were still feeling indignant for the hall master, thinking that he was too tolerant. Now, it seemed that this was not the case at all. The new palace master's strength and decisiveness had far exceeded their expectations. If they followed such a person, they would definitely become outstanding in the future. Hui Dao also walked over. He looked at Lin Xian with a trace of awe in his eyes. "Young master, Yang Jian's corpse? What's the use of a traitor's corpse?" Lin Xian snorted coldly. "Just leave it here." Lin Xian glanced at him and then no longer paid attention to him. "Why? Don't you want to be the first place? Hurry up and go hunting." Lin Xian waved his hand. "Yes." Hui Dao cupped his fists, then flew into the sky and flew into the distance. This kid was so satisfying. Damn it. He had been unhappy with this guy for a long time. Getting rid of him was really too satisfying. The crimson dragon at the side waved its dragon claws and said fiercely, "If you didn't do it, I would have done it long ago. Damn it, who does this guy think he is? How dare he behave so atrociously above us?" Xing Tian's eyelids were also twitching wildly. However, his face was still full of worry. "Although we have shown our power, we have completely offended the third hall master." "So what?" Lin Xian said indifferently. He had offended the third hall master and completely subdued the entire Immortal Palace. It was not a loss for him. Besides, he was the master of Immortal Palace. How could he be humiliated like this? Would the previous old hall master be provoked like this? Would he tolerate such a thing? Xing Tian stopped talking. What a joke! Who dared to provoke him? Even the 6 guardians had to be respectful. If they were to jump up and down like Yang Jian, they would have been slapped to death. Now he did not say anything. Since things had already happened, he would think of a countermeasure. After all, he was sent by the previous old hall master to protect Lin Xian. And now he could see that this new young master was very powerful. Not only was he powerful, but he was also one of the top existences in the younger generation. His temperament and means were also extremely terrifying. To put it bluntly, he was also a master who would not be bullied. Thinking of this, Xing Tian felt a little excited. Lin Xian was still very young, but he was already so powerful. If he grew up in the future, he might dominate the world like the previous old hall master. Lin Xian did not participate in what happened next. He floated in the void and looked into the distance. Behind him were the Crimson Dragon and Xing Tian. Soon, the afterglow of the setting sun arrived. In the end, Hui Dao was the one who won. Hui Chen and the other sons of the hall masters were not interested at all. They kept thinking about what happened to Yang Jian, and some of them even wanted to run away. They wished that time would pass faster. Therefore, they did not hunt at all. The people of the other halls were also preoccupied. Therefore, the ones who really hunted were the 500 people recruited by Lin Xian and Hui Dao. Of course, Hui Dao was the most powerful among them. Looking at the piles of demonic beast corpses, Lin Xian nodded with satisfaction. It seemed that these people were indeed very powerful. They were indeed the young talents of a mortal palace. What made him even more satisfied was the attitude of these people. These people looked at him with a trace of awe and fear in their eyes. This was the effect he wanted. Otherwise, as the hall master, how could he lead the heroes in the future? Ruse along. Pick a few that you like and bring them back for you to barbecue. Well, Ben Huang will not stand on ceremony. The Crimson Dragon grinned and glanced at the corpses of the demonic beasts. He picked a few delicious ones and carried them over. Okay, let's go back. In addition to the first place, the second and third place will also be rewarded. The rest of you should cultivate well. I will not treat you unfairly. Lin Xian's words were directed at the 500 people. Thank you, Hall Master. The 500 people were excited. Next, Lin Xian and the others left Xixia Mountain and returned. Hui Dao and the 500 people went back with him. Hou Chen, Pei Yuan, and the others did not go in at all. Instead, they returned to their respective halls. Chapter 2385. Yang Jian's corpse was also taken away. After all, such a big thing had happened. They had to go back and report it quickly, because they felt that the matter was definitely serious. It would probably cause a huge commotion in Immortal Palace. With the third hall master's personality, he would definitely be furious that his son was killed. On the other side, after Lin Xian and the others returned, Xing Tian issued a decree that spread throughout the entire Immortal Palace. When this news spread, the entire Immortal Palace was in an uproar. They didn't even dare to believe this news. What was going on? Yang Jian rebelled? He was killed. Heavens, I'm not dreaming, right? Although Yang Jian was arrogant, he shouldn't have rebelled, right? Who dared to kill him? The new palace master? Heavens, are they going to go against the third hall master? Why do I feel that this news isn't true? Discussions could be heard one after another. However, when the cultivators from the various halls, Hou Chen and the other hall master's sons returned and passed the news to each other, this matter was finally confirmed. Everyone was stunned. They knew that the matter was probably going to be serious. Sure enough, when the people from the third hall heard the news, they immediately went berserk. To be honest, they didn't believe it at first. What kind of joke was this? Yang Jian was their third hall master's son. Who dared to offend him, not to mention killing him? However, when Yang Jian's corpse was carried back, the people from the third hall were all stunned. Their eyeballs almost popped out. How was this possible? How could someone dare to kill Yang Jian? Could it be that they didn't want to live anymore? After the third hall master received the news, he even came out of the secret chamber. Originally, he was in seclusion, preparing to cultivate and break through. But now, he wasn't in the mood to cultivate at all. How could he accept the fact that his own son had been killed? Boom! Speak, what happened? Who killed my son? The third hall master roared crazily like a lion. He was a tall man to begin with. At this moment, he was really like a demon king. Yes, the young cultivators under him trembled and began to narrate the entire incident. When the third hall master and the surrounding people heard that Yang Jian had been slashed 6 times and beheaded, they were all shocked, especially the third hall master. With a furious roar, the entire hall exploded. This was too much. How dare he kill my son? I must kill him personally, no matter who he was. The third hall master had really gone crazy. A brat who had just been promoted actually dared to make a move on him? How reckless! The elders beside him hurriedly tried to dissuade him. Hall master! Although that brat is detestable, he is still the hall master. We cannot be impulsive. They frantically tried to dissuade him. Indeed, Yang Jian was judged to have rebelled and was killed. If the 3 halls directly charged into the stellar hall, they would probably be taken down on the spot. I don't care what kind of palace master he is. How could a brat like him have the qualifications to be my immortal palace's master? I want to see what kind of monster he is. The third hall master completely ignored him. He swore that he would definitely kill the other party in order to vent the hatred in his heart. Everyone listened to my orders. Yes, attack the starry hall. Kill, kill, kill. An earth-shattering sound rang out as waves of murderous aura soared into the sky. From the looks of it, these people were really prepared to go all out. Boom! However, at this moment, a figure suddenly descended from the sky, and an enormous aura pressed down like 100,000 mountains. It shattered all of the murderous aura, enveloping everyone's hearts. Sensing this terrifying aura, the expressions of the people in the 3 halls changed, and they all raised their heads towards the sky. Even the third hall master's face sunk, coldly shouting, "Who is it? You actually dare to behave atrociously in my territory?" Yang Guang received the decree. An ice-cold voice sounded, carrying with it an unmatched pressure. Hearing this voice, the third hall master's expression finally changed. Great Law Protector. What was the Great Law Protector doing here at this time? It was definitely not something good. You want to defy the decree? The Great Law Protector descended in midair. He was an elder, and right now he was holding a golden scroll in his hand that released 10,000 streaks of radiance. I don't dare. Yang Guang received the decree. The third hall master knelt on one knee, kneeling on the ground. The surrounding people in the 3 halls also knelt on one knee, looking extremely respectful. Under the old hall master's orders, Immortal Palace's members were not allowed to cause trouble, and they were not allowed to disobey their superiors. Those who disobeyed would be killed without mercy. When he finished speaking, a terrifying aura rose from the Great Law Protector's body, engulfing the 9 heavens. The Great Law Protector was extremely terrifying, and his cultivation had reached the Invincible King level. At this moment, the invincible pressure was released, and the people in the 3 halls below trembled. What? Hearing this, the people below were shocked, but they didn't dare to raise their heads at all. Yang Guang suddenly raised his head, and his expression became incomparably unsightly. You are not allowed to wantonly cause trouble, and you are not allowed to defy your superiors. Although it said that he was a member of Immortal Palace, it was clearly for him. Moreover, this was personally issued by the old palace master. He knew how powerful the old palace master was. In front of him, even invincible kings were not enough. It could be said that he had reached a level that shocked the world and made ghosts and gods weep. If he dared to resist and angered the old palace master, he would probably be slapped to death. Therefore, he had no choice but to grit his teeth and say, Yang Guang received the decree. Seeing this scene, the Great Law Protector put away the golden decree, and then said in a deep voice, the new palace master was personally chosen by the old palace master, so don't make a mistake. I hope you know what's good for you. After saying this, the Great Law Protector's figure flashed, and he disappeared into the void. Then the unparalleled pressure disappeared as well. Feeling the disappearance of the pressure, the martial artists in the 3 halls below all heaved a sigh of relief. It couldn't be helped. The aura of an invincible king was too terrifying. They couldn't bear it at all. Yang Guang's expression was incomparably ugly. A few elders surrounded him and quickly said, "Hall Master, what should we do? What should we do? What else can we do? Do you think we still have a chance to resist?" The third Hall Master's face was ashen. However, soon after he clenched his fists, and his square face became incomparably ferocious. "Damn it, I can't take this lying down. Although the old palace master is protecting him, I don't believe that he can protect him forever. Seclusion. From now on, don't disturb me. I won't come out of seclusion until I become an invincible king." Yang Guang gritted his teeth. He was already an 8-star peak king, and he was very close to becoming an invincible king. However, it was also very difficult to break through. However, this time he decided to enter seclusion, because only by becoming an invincible king would he have a chance to take revenge. Rumble. Yang Guang entered the ground and used the earth's spirit vein to enter seclusion. Although the people in the 3 halls were also angry, they became incomparably low-key. There was no other way. This decree was obviously targeted at them. If they dared to cause trouble, they would probably be killed very soon. Therefore, everything could only wait for their hall master to come out of seclusion before making a new plan. The Great Law Protector's decree was not only issued to the 3rd hall master, but also spread throughout the entire Immortal Palace. For a time, everyone in Immortal Palace was shocked. Chapter 2386. They didn't expect the old temple master to make a move at this time. Moreover, he stood firmly on Lin Xian's side. This made them realize that the new temple master's position was probably unshakable. The hall masters of the other halls had gloomy looks in their eyes. Then, they quickly warned their subordinates not to cause trouble. They couldn't afford to offend him, but they could still hide. At most, they would carry out their own missions and ignore him. Pei Yuan, Hui Chen, and the other hall master's sons also felt their scalps tingle with fear. Pei Yuan and Xiao Hui, especially, felt as if they had just walked through the gates of hell, a matter that shocked Immortal Palace quickly calmed down. The speed at which it calmed down was shocking. They couldn't believe it. Starry Hall, Hu Yidao, Xing Tian, and the others also took a deep breath when they heard the news. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. This matter was similar to what he had guessed. It seemed that his position as temple master was stable. Of course, no one rebelled, but it didn't mean that he was free of trouble. Most likely, those people still obeyed his orders on the surface, but disobeyed them on the surface. However, he wasn't in a hurry. He would take it slow. He believed that one day, the entire Immortal Palace would submit to him. It was time to move on to the next step. Lin Xian stood up and his eyes flickered. Xing Tian gave him a list of 3 geniuses. Hu Yidao, one of them, had already been subdued by him. He was going to meet the remaining 2 now. There were green mountains and clear waters, and it was quiet everywhere. A beautiful figure was strolling in the forest, as if she had walked out of a painting. It was a woman with a beautiful face, wearing a long aqua green dress. There were terrifying monster kings around, but they were crawling on the ground and didn't dare to move forward at all, as if they were afraid of the aqua green woman. However, after walking for a while, the beautiful woman stopped in her tracks. She frowned. That was because a figure appeared in front of her. "It's you." The beautiful woman frowned because she recognized the figure in front of her. It was the new temple master of Immortal Palace. She didn't care about him before, but after the incident with Yang Jian, she specially found information about the new temple master. There was a portrait of him in the information, so she could recognize him at a glance. "Peacock, come with me." The person in front of her was Lin Xian. He looked at the beautiful woman and said indifferently, "Go with you? Just based on the fact that you killed Yang Jian, this is not enough." Peacock shook her head. "Defeat me, and I'll go with you." "Okay, make your move," Lin Xian said calmly. Although he knew that Peacock was powerful, he was not afraid. "Whoa." Peacock waved her jade-like hands, and the wind and clouds changed. A green palm slapped over, like the overturning sky seal pressing down from the sky. The space around Lin Xian froze in an instant. Clearly, this was an ultimate technique. It seemed like the other party knew that he wasn't weak, so he used a powerful ultimate skill right from the start. Wang, facing the giant green palm, Lin Xian waved a sleeve, and black flames surged out and danced. Whoosh! The energy palm above was burned to ashes. Show me your true strength. Let me see how powerful the legendary peacock is. Lin Xian said coldly. You'll see. Although the attack was broken, Peacock wasn't surprised. She knew that the other party must be powerful to be able to become the temple master. However, she had absolute confidence in herself. In the next moment, she formed a seal with her palms, and a green light appeared behind her back, and the shadow of a peacock appeared. The beautiful tail slowly spread out. It was as beautiful as a celestial fan. Wang. However, this beauty contained an unparalleled killing intent. Peacock spreading its tail. With an angry roar, the huge tail swept out, and the black spots on it were like eyes very dreamy. Wang. In the sky, countless black rays of light flew out like bolts of lightning. They charged towards where Lin Xian was. The void shattered in an instant, and the terrifying aura between heaven and earth made people tremble. Lin Xian frowned. He didn't dare to be careless. He could tell that the attack was very terrifying. Therefore, in the next moment, the great dragon sword soul in his body roared. Whoosh! He swung his sword. Boom, boom, boom. The sound of an intense collision was heard. Soon, all the black lightning in the sky was shattered. Lin Xian's body flickered, and he charged over with the ancient sword in his hand. On the other side, Peacock snorted coldly, and a green fan appeared in her hand. She kept waving it and fighting. Both of them were young prodigies, and their battle was very terrifying. The area within tens of thousands of miles was enveloped by the storm. Roars sounded, and the powerful monster kings all prostrated on the ground, trembling. On the 100th move, Peacock's eyes suddenly burst out with a green light. It was extremely cold, as if it could pierce through the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The shadow of the peacock behind him also spread its tail and swept over. The green light swept out, and a shocking, murderous aura attacked. Lin Xian's heart beat wildly. He felt that his life was in danger. Therefore, in the next moment, his body flickered, and he instantly disappeared. As expected, as soon as he left, the void melted, and nothing could withstand the green light. How terrifying! The shadow of the peacock was strange. Lin Xian frowned. He realized that it was not just the king's domain, but also seemed to contain a trace of bloodline power. You guessed right. My ancestor is Mahamyuri, so I have Mahamyuri's bloodline power in my body. Peacock said in a delicate voice. So, it's not that easy to defeat me. Mahamyuri. Legend has it that he was a very terrifying monster king. No wonder. Lin Xian suddenly understood. No wonder he felt that the shadow of the peacock was so terrifying. Humph! Peacock formed another seal with her palms. Boom! An even more violent force descended from the sky. Obviously, she had activated the power of her bloodline. The shadow behind her seemed to have come to life, and it spread its wings and flew. A green light swept through the entire world. Even the entire sky was dyed green. Peacock's divine light. This was a secret technique of the peacock race, and it was activated with the power of the bloodline. It was extremely terrifying when it was used at this moment. Even if a peerless powerhouse saw it, their hearts would beat wildly, not daring to face it head-on. Lin Xian's expression also changed. He had to admit that the woman in front of him was too powerful. She was not inferior to Hui Dao at all. Moreover, she also had the power of the bloodline, which was even more terrifying. Boom! 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 Those monster kings who were swept by the green light suddenly exploded, and they turned into a bloody mist that surged in the sky. Nothing could withstand this light. Among them, more light swept toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he quickly dodged. However, the light seemed to have locked onto him, and it followed him closely. Whoosh! The ancient dragon abyss sword was swung, and a shocking sound was heard. The long sword cut off a large piece of green light, but the entire world seemed to be completely enveloped. It formed a cage that gradually trapped Lin Xian. Chapter 2387. You can't escape. Although you're the palace master, I won't show you any mercy. Peacock's face was unusually cold and emotionless. Her green eyes once again emitted a shocking light. Is that so? Can't escape? You're making a judgment too early. The show has just begun. Lin Xian didn't dodge at all. He smiled. Then, the sword aura on his body exploded and swept across the 9 heavens and 10 lands. The terrifying sword aura rushed out and slashed in all directions. It collided with the green light that filled the sky. Suddenly, heaven and earth boiled and huge cracks appeared in the sky. The sword aura was several times stronger than before. On the opposite side, Peacock frowned when she felt the biting cold sword aura. She didn't expect him to have hidden his strength. However, she didn't think that he could resist her bloodline power. After all, he had the bloodline of Mahamiri. In front of her, the sword aura rolled like an ocean and swept across the sky. The green light scattered endlessly. Peacock's shadow fluttered in the wind, and its terrifying tail kept swaying. Their attacks continued to collide in the sky, causing the entire sky to shatter. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. The terrifying sword aura exploded again. Boom! The green light was cut in half by the sword, and the sharp sword aura slashed towards Peacock. What? He became stronger again. Peacock's expression finally changed when she felt the change. Her body kept swaying. At the same time, the shadow behind her was also emitting light. Finally, it blocked the sword aura that filled the sky. However, her expression was extremely solemn. She didn't expect the opponent's attack to be stronger than hers. It seemed that she had to use that move. She knew that the opponent was very strong, so she had to use a stronger trump card. The shadow behind her swayed its tail. There were thousands of black spots on it that looked like eyes. At this moment, there were even more mysterious runes that were flickering nonstop like a mysterious eye. 1,000 demon eye. Peacock's palm kept forming seals. The black spots turned into the demon king's eye and spun in the sky, emitting a mysterious power. This is a soul attack. You can't block it. Peacock's voice was cold. Indeed, this was one of her great divine powers. It was a very powerful eye technique attack. Perhaps even a peerless almighty would not dare to resist this eye technique of his. You want to compete with me in eye techniques? Lin Xian smiled because if he wanted to resist a physical attack, he would need to use some strength. After all, the opponent's bloodline power was very powerful. However, if they were to compete in eye techniques, he could determine the winner in an instant. As expected, a golden glow appeared in Lin Xian's eyes in the next moment. Then he quickly activated his heavenly secret god eyes, forming a golden vortex to resist the 1,000 demon eyes. What? How could this be? Peacock's eyelids twitched. Then a great dragon's heart. Not only that Peacock, as soul god, but it's also God T-dammit. He heavenly eyes. Heavenly eyes. Divine, heavenly S. Heavenly, the heavenly divine, I was a very powerful eye technique. Although the heavenly I was powerful, it was no match for the heavenly divine eye. Uft! Peacock took 3 steps back and spat out a mouthful of blood. Her face was extremely pale. Her heavenly eye also disappeared quickly. On the other side, the golden light in Lin Xian's eyes dimmed and then returned to normal. "You've lost," he said in a deep voice. Peacock wiped the blood from the corner of her mouth and was unwilling to admit defeat. "What is your eye technique? Damn it, I can't accept this. You just happened to counter me. Very well, I'll give you one more chance to attack." Lin Xian was not angry, nor did he care, because even if he did not use his eye technique, he could still defeat her. Hearing this, Peacock quickly swallowed 2 black pills to stop the damage to her soul and heal it. Then she took a deep breath and pushed all the power in her body to the limit. The shadow behind her became more solid, as if it was a real divine beast. Boom! Then both of them launched a fierce attack. The terrifying light lit up the entire sky. Boom! A loud dragon roar came from Lin Xian's body. The sword aura in the sky turned into a giant dragon and fought with the shadow of Peacock. The momentum was extremely terrifying. Dragon! Peacock was shocked and could not believe it. She felt an immense pressure from the dragon-shaped phantom. Even the shadow behind him began to tremble. In the end, the shadow of Peacock was suppressed by the real dragon. Peacock's face was pale. "I've lost." Peacock sighed. She realized that she could not defeat her opponent, be it soul attack or physical attack. However, she admitted defeat wholeheartedly. Because her opponent's strength was too strong, there was no luck at all. "Don't worry, you won't regret following me." Lin Xian smiled. Finally, he had subdued another powerful fighter. Peacock's strength could be said to be very strong. Thinking of this, he smiled happily. Now, there was only one prodigy left. Ghostly, an extremely terrifying king of assassins. Lin Xian brought Peacock back to the Starry Palace. Then he adjusted his body to its peak and set off again. This time, he must subdue the last prodigy. When Lin Xian arrived at the place given to him by the Star Pagoda, he frowned, because he realized that there was no one around. However, he wasn't impatient because Xing Tian had given him 3 places to stay. These 3 places were the places where Ghostly often appeared. Since he was not here, he should be able to find him in the other 2 places. Sure enough, Lin Xian found him in the 3rd place. However, Lin Xian did not see him. When he stepped into the 3rd place, goosebumps appeared all over his body. A faintly discernible killing intent locked onto him. Buzz! Suddenly, a ghostly figure appeared behind Lin Xian. The sharp dagger in his hand slashed down quickly. Whoosh! Lin Xian's muscles all stiffened. With a boom, the great dragon sword soul in his body circulated wildly. A terrifying power surged out. There was an intense collision. Bam! The figure quickly retreated and disappeared into the sky at the same time. How terrifying! He was not weaker than the assassins from hell. As soon as they exchanged blows, Lin Xian felt that this malicious spirit was extremely terrifying. The other party's assassination and concealment skills were very impressive. However, he had a way to see him. Sure enough, in the next moment, the prodigy activated his remarkable ability. Golden light surrounded him in all directions. Soon, he saw a faint figure appear in front of him. Found him. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. It seemed that regardless of whether it was hell or ghostly, their assassination skills could be found under the heavenly secret god eyes. Chapter 2388. In the next moment, Lin Xian decisively made his move. One slash, countless rays of light shone, and then turned into an earth-shattering force, spreading forward. These sword chi formed a fan shape, completely sealing off the area where Ghostly was. Boom! Ghostly was also shocked. He did not expect the other party to be able to lock onto him in an instant. He felt the space around him instantly solidify, as if there was an ancient demonic mountain pressing down on him from the sky, with an incomparably sharp aura. Whoosh, in the next moment his body swayed and suddenly exploded, tearing the void apart. He quickly dodged, avoiding this terrifying sword wave. However, Lin Xian's second slash still came. A large black crack appeared in the sky, as if lightning was descending, and the terrifying sword light once again enveloped him. Humph! Ghostly snorted coldly. He did not expect the other party to be able to discover him again and again. This time he was surprised again. But so what? Even if he did not hide, his strength was still very terrifying. As expected, in the next moment he waved the black dagger in his hand and shot out rays of black light that slid across the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The two collided, like thunder from the ninth heaven. The sound pierced through the void, and the space around them was torn apart, and the entire ground was shaking rapidly. What a powerful attack! After that attack, Ghostly was even more shocked, because he realized that the other party's attack was too sharp, even more terrifying than him, the king of assassins. What a terrifying sword chi! What a terrifying swordsmanship! Ghost Li's expression was solemn, but he did not admit defeat. White bone banner. Whoosh! In an instant, the world changed, and the scenery around them changed instantly. The entire space was as dark as ink. White bones were everywhere, and a terrifying, murderous aura shot into the sky. For a moment, it was as if they had come to the world of the Ghost Dao. Ghostly was not only a terrifying assassin, but also a terrifying ghost cultivator. At this moment, when he used the white bone banner, it was earth-shattering. Countless evil spirits charged towards Lin Xian and instantly enveloped him. Lin Xian's body exploded with an earth-shattering force, and the terrifying sword wave swept in all directions, destroying all the darkness. Whoosh! But at this moment, a sharp light pierced towards his back. The terrifying aura, even Lin Xian's expression changed. Assassination techniques. Lin Xian was shocked. He didn't expect Ghostly to make a move at this time. Boom! A gigantic goddess of ice appeared on his body. The terrifying power of ice spread out in all directions, freezing everything. As expected, Ghost Li's figure slowed down, and his body was covered in frost. He was about to be frozen. Seeing that his assassination had failed, Ghostly roared and retreated again. In the next moment, he waved the white bone banner again. Endless, resentful spirits roared, and the terrifying, ghostly shadows made people's souls tremble. Lin Xian's body was surrounded by an icy aura. The ancient dragon abyss sword in his hand slashed forward. At this moment, he erupted with unparalleled combat strength. With a sweep of his sword, a large number of vengeful spirits were annihilated. Not only that, Lin Xian also used the demigods and semidevils, his speed reaching the extreme as he charged towards Ghostly. Ghostly relied on his movement technique to move, but the demigods and semidevils were truly miraculous. Finally, Lin Xian found an opportunity. He stretched out his left hand, and endless ice condensed into an ice scepter that flickered in the sky. Instantly, thousands of miles were frozen. Ghostly was also frozen. Although it was only for an instant, it was fatal to him. Buzz! In the next moment, the ancient dragon abyss sword slashed down mercilessly. Pum! Ghostly raised the dagger in his hand and the white bone banner to block. With a clang, he was forced back a few thousand meters, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. The blood in his body churned nonstop. This sword had directly injured him. Do you still want to fight? Lin Xian asked coldly. Humph, I haven't lost yet. Ghostly gritted his teeth and waved the white bone banner again. At the same time, his king's domain rushed out, covering the entire sky. Buzz! Cold winds blew in all directions, and countless vengeful spirits crawled out. The ground beneath their feet cracked open, and many white bone creatures emerged. Endless resentful spirits circled in the air, and it was all very terrifying. Poof! Ghostly aura filled the sky, and the terrifying army of vengeful spirits quickly charged over. Some even spat out poisonous fog, and the entire space was dark. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if millions of resentful spirits were moving out, firmly locking onto Lin Xian. Lin Xian let out a long roar, and the destruction sword formation spread out. Streaks of blood-red sword chi rushed up, turning into a sea of blood in the air, roaring in all directions. Boom! Boom! The sea of blood and the mountain of corpses collided, and a shocking rainbow erupted. The scene between heaven and earth was tragic. At the same time, Lin Xian's fingers kept forming seals, and the Hell's Ice Lotus quickly flew out, spreading in all directions. At the same time, he also shot out black fire dragons, roaring in all directions. The flames roared and the ice spread, slaughtering millions of resentful spirits. "It's useless. My flames completely restrained you," Lin Xian said coldly. On the other side, Ghost Li's face was gloomy. He could see that it was true. If this continued, his white bone banner would probably be destroyed. So in the next moment, he snorted and did not attack. The white bone banner also quickly entered his body. "Not fighting anymore?" Lin Xian asked. On the other side, Ghostly said coldly, "There's one last attack. If you can take it, I'll admit defeat." As he said that, his domain rolled quickly and endless black gas spread out. Then a black dagger appeared in midair, wrapped in endless black gas. Shadow Blade. This was not a real weapon, but a strange world of death that Ghostly connected to through his own secret technique and domain. It was summoned from inside. Although it was an illusion, it was extremely terrifying. Buzz! In the next moment, Ghostly held the Shadow Blade. The murderous aura on his body suddenly erupted, and it was several times stronger than before. Buzz! With a swing of the blade, a terrifying light swept forward. This attack was too terrifying, especially the murderous aura contained in it. It could definitely make an almighty collapse in an instant. Even a peerless almighty would not dare to take it head-on. Not only that, as the Shadow Blade was swung, a terrifying crack appeared in the void. What was even stranger was that there was actually blood flowing out from the crack. It was extremely strange. An illusion attack? Lin Xian was surprised. He was very familiar with this, because his great dragon sword soul was like this. It was just a sword shadow, but its power was much more terrifying than a real weapon. In the next moment, he waved his arm, and the great dragon sword soul in his body rushed out. In front of him, it condensed into a dragon-shaped sword shadow. He grabbed it with one hand. It slashed forward. The biting cold sword light roared like an angry dragon, colliding with the terrifying black light in the sky. Boom, boom, boom. The sky collapsed and the earth cracked. Energy exploded. The collision between the two was destructive. However, cracks appeared on the black light wave emitted by the Shadow Blade. Then it cracked and turned into endless ghost chi. What? It was broken. How could it be? Ghostly was shocked when he saw the scene. Puff! He quickly retreated and spat out a mouthful of blood. No, he really did not dare to believe it. This was a powerful attack summoned from the world of death. It was extremely terrifying. Even a peerless almighty might not be able to resist it. However, the opponent's sword shadow directly shattered his attack. What was that sword shadow? Chapter 2389. What is that sword shadow? It doesn't seem to be a physical weapon. Could it be the same type as my Shadow Blade? He didn't expect that the other party would have a divine ability cultivation method similar to his. More importantly, the strength of the other party's phantom was much stronger than his. The aura emitted from it made him feel suffocated. In the next moment, Ghostly took a deep breath and didn't attack again. Instead, he knelt on one knee and said respectfully, "Greetings, Temple Master." He had long recognized the other party. It was just that he was not convinced before. Now that he had been defeated by Lin Xian, he was convinced of his loss and was naturally willing to submit. Looking at this scene, Lin Xian smiled. He knew that he had already subdued Ghostly. At this point, the 3 great experts that Xing Tian had given him had all been subdued. Of course, there are countless geniuses and powerhouses in Immortal Palace. The rest still needed to be subdued, slowly. Let's go. Lin Xian waved his hand and left with Ghostly. In the following days, he lived in seclusion. In addition to continuing to understand Immortal Palace, he began to use Immortal Palace's resources to cultivate Immortal Palace's cultivation methods. As for Xing Tian, Hui Dao, and the others, they were in charge of training the 500 young martial artists that he had subdued. Of course, there were also big and small matters in Immortal Palace that required Lin Xian's help. However, Lin Xian only needed to make the decision. As for the specific matters, of course, it was up to his subordinates to do it. Young Master, according to the news from below, the Great Xia Dynasty has discovered an ancient tomb. It seems to be an ancient tomb passed down by a saint, and it has caused a sensation in the entire Zhongzhou. Not only that, but the Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, and Northern Plains sacred grounds have also sent out powerhouses. They're all here? Hearing this, Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. He didn't expect the tomb of a saint to appear in Zhongzhou. Indeed, many of them had come. Moreover, the recent news of the nest of 10,000 dragons in Zhongzhou had attracted the attention of those sacred grounds and great sections. Even the clan of the ancients had come. Young Master, should we go and take a look? Xing Tian asked. Of course. The saint's tomb is full of good stuff. Also, I want to meet these sacred grounds and great sects. Go and get ready and gather some people. That's right, the Black Demon ship should be more or less repaired. Lin Xian asked. When he became the palace lord, he handed the Black Demon ship over to Immortal Palace and had the people inside repair it. After all, the Black Demon ship was a pseudo-heaven step artifact. It had already been repaired. Furthermore, its might had also been increased. Okay, it seemed that it was time to show off. Lin Xian's lips curled into a smile. In the next few days, Xing Tian began his preparations. He had to go. Among them, Hui Dao, Peacock, and Ghostly were also tagging along. Out of the remaining 500 people, he picked 100 elites. Apart from this, there were a few attendants and elders from Immortal Palace, all of them older generation figures. There weren't many deacons, only a few dozen, and only 3 elders. There were only 200 people in total, which was indeed not a lot. But every one of them was an elite. Moreover, they were only going to check out the situation first. If they were really going to enter the great saint's tomb or encounter other dangers, they would have to leave. They could transfer people at any time. After all, they also had branches in the Grand Xia Empire. Whoosh! Lin Xian stood in front of a treasure vault. In front of him were 2 golden doors, exuding a barbaric aura. He pushed it open and entered. Rays of dazzling light were emitted from inside. It was full of treasures. This was Immortal Palace's treasure vault, and it was one of them. Lin Xian could use all the resources inside, but he wouldn't use all of them. After all the experts in Immortal Palace needed the resources inside. Lin Xian took some divine crystals and some materials. Among them, he took a few formations that had already been set up. The remaining materials were handed over to the Crimson Dragon. During this period, the Crimson Dragon had not been idle. Ever since it obtained Immortal Palace's treasure vault, it had been excited. It had read a lot of ancient books inside. They were all related to formations, which could be used to improve its attainments in formations. The formations that it created now were much more powerful than before. Lin Xian had not stopped cultivating during this period. In addition to Immortal Palace's resources, his cultivation had also improved by leaps and bounds. Now he had reached the peak of the early 7-star stage. In addition to the materials and formations, he also took 2 spatial scrolls. This was equivalent to a small spatial teleportation formation. It could shatter the void and bring them out of danger. Finally, Lin Xian took a cultivation method and planned to study it when he was free. This was a heaven-tier cultivation method called the 5-element sword. It could be cultivated with 5 types of sword qi, which could be switched at will. It could be said to be both offensive and defensive, and its power was also very terrifying. After taking the 5-element sword, Lin Xian left Immortal Palace's treasure vault. In addition, Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghostly, as well as the 100 selected warriors, also used their contribution points to exchange for resources in the treasury. 2 days later, they set off. In the sky, a black ship floated. It was incomparably dark, as if it had crossed time and space from the demon realm. This was the Black Demon ship, and it was a modified one. Not only were the damaged parts repaired, but its power was also more terrifying than before. Its appearance had also changed. It was more majestic than before, and there were even ruins of Immortal Palace on it. Let's go. Lin Xian's body swayed, and he took the lead to soar into the sky. Behind him were Xing Tian and the Crimson Dragon. Behind them were Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghostly. There were also 3 elders and a few dozen deacons. Apart from them, there were the 100 young warriors. They did not expect to be able to explore the ancient tomb with the palace master this time. They were very excited. As for the remaining 400 people who were not selected, they worked even harder to cultivate so that they could be selected in the next round. The Black Demon ship was very big and luxurious. There were all kinds of palaces, secret cultivation rooms, and places for sightseeing. Therefore, even if they had to fly for a month or 2, they would not feel bored. Moreover, these people were ready to go into seclusion almost as soon as they boarded, cultivating and improving their cultivation strength. Xing Tian, remind me when we reach 9 Li Dynasty. I have some things to do, Lin Xian said in a deep voice, a hint of sharpness in his eyes. Yes. Xing Tian nodded. Lin Xian entered the room, set up a formation, and then sat down with his legs crossed. He slowly opened the jade scroll and began to study the 5-element sword. Lin Xian only had the 3 attributes of ice, fire, and lightning. He did not have the water, earth, or wood attributes. However, that was not a problem. His great dragon sword soul could simulate the attributes of the 5 elements instantly, so he did not have to worry about that. Next, he began to carefully comprehend this 5-element sword. The Crimson Dragon God was in another room, studying his formation. He had a lot of materials now, so he could study all kinds of movement techniques. Chapter 2390. On the other side, Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghostly were also cultivating in seclusion. The 100 people on the ship were assigned different tasks. Some were in charge of guarding, some were in charge of maintaining order, and some were in charge of scouting the surroundings. Apart from that, there were also some servants with low cultivation bases on the ship. They were in charge of cleaning, cooking, and so on. The 3 elders and the deacons began to study the various information they had obtained. After all, this time, not only the Immortal Palace, but many peerless sects and sacred grounds had also come. Moreover, not only Zhongzhou, but the powerhouses from the Eastern Wilderness, Western Desert, Southern Ridge, and Northern Plains had also come. It could be said that this was a flourishing period. However, the competition would probably be extremely intense. After about 10 days, Xing Tian came over and said in a deep voice, "Young master, we've arrived at the 9 Li Dynasty." Hearing that, Lin Xian put away the jade slip, stood up, and walked out of the door. Then he went to the deck and looked down. He was finally back. A few months ago, he was chased by countless people from here and engaged in an intense battle. If he did not have so many trump cards, he would have been killed long ago. Now that he was back, he naturally wanted to take revenge. The governor's mansion, the Tang family, the Tai dynasty, and the War tribe, he would not let any of them off. However, he had to deal with the people from the Tang family and the governor's mansion first. Go to the governor's mansion first. Lin Xian ordered. Soon, these people turned the ship around and sailed in the direction of the governor's mansion, Qianshan City. The incident last time had gradually subsided, and Qianshan City had returned to normal. However, on this day, a huge spirit ship appeared above Qianshan City. It slowly descended like a dark cloud, projecting below. Soon, countless people raised their heads and looked at the sky, exclaiming in surprise. That was because the aura on the black ship was so terrifying that they could not breathe. This scene naturally attracted the attention of the governor's mansion. Immediately, a few powerhouses from the governor's mansion rushed up. That was because they did not know who the other party was and why they had come to Qianshan City. Therefore, they had to find out. Because of the incident with young Master Qianshan, they did not dare to be careless anymore. Just as they were about to snort coldly, the shadow of a black palm descended from the sky. It was like a huge palm that covered the sky, slapping down fiercely. No, below, a few city lords' mansion cultivators roared crazily. They all fled. They didn't expect that the other party would launch a direct attack right from the start. What was he up to this time? Starting a war with the city lord's mansion? Who was it? How could he be so bold? Boom! Several martial artists wanted to escape, but they could not escape at all. Under this tremendous force, their bodies split apart and turned into a bloody mist. That enormous black palm blasted towards the city lord's mansion with an even more ferocious attitude. Heavens, what happened? Everyone in Qianshan City was shocked when they saw this. The weaker ones were directly pressed to the ground by this aura, while the stronger ones turned pale and their bodies trembled. Someone actually dared to make a move on the city lord's mansion? This was too shocking. The warriors in the city lord's mansion also came out one after another. They could feel a powerful aura descending towards them. Soon, they raised their heads, and when they saw the huge hand that covered the sky, their pupils shrank. Quick! Activate the defensive formation. The city lord's mansion's array formation lit up, and rays of light shot into the sky. The protective formation appeared, completely enveloping the entire city lord's mansion. This formation emitted a bright light, forming the most powerful defense. Clang! The black hand that covered the sky collided with the formation, causing a thunderous collision. The surrounding void cracked open, and lightning from the ninth heaven descended, bombarding all directions. All the martial artists in the city were knocked to the ground. This scene was truly too terrifying. Damn it, who was it? Those martial artists in the city lord's mansion also felt the world shaking, and their faces were gloomy. However, in the next moment, they screamed because cracks had appeared on their protective formation, and more. Ka ka ka! The sound of shattering rang out, and then more than half of the formation cracked and shattered. The terrifying palm slapped down again. Inside the city lord's mansion, the ground cracked open, and the buildings were reduced to ashes. Countless martial artists turned into a bloody mist. This attack directly smashed half of the city lord's mansion. Ah! Screams sounded one after another, and a huge roar rolled, and the airwaves rushed into the sky. Ah! Those elders roared crazily. Damn it, who was it? How dare you attack my city lord's mansion? In the deepest part of the city lord's mansion, the city lord and a few elders also rushed over. The city lord's face was gloomy, and he gnashed his teeth in anger. Half of his city lord's mansion was actually destroyed. It was truly unforgivable. No matter who you are dead meat. He was really mad. One had to know that he was not only a powerhouse, but he was also the city lord of Qianshan City. Moreover, his city lord was personally conferred by the 9 Li dynasty. Whoever dared to make a move on him was ignoring the authority of the 9 Li dynasty. This was declaring war on the dynasty. He could not understand who it was that dared to be so audacious. But no matter who it was, the other party was dead meat. Humph! A cold laugh came from the black ship above. Who am I? Why, in such a short time, have you forgotten me? This voice carried endless coldness. Hearing this voice, everyone's scalp went numb. The city lord and other martial artists below also frowned, because they realized that this was a young voice. Had they offended anyone? Immediately, a chill rose in the hearts of several elders, seeming to have thought of something. They said, tremblingly, "Could it be that kid came back?" "What, that kid? Are you talking about that little demon king? Impossible, right? Wasn't he being hunted down?" These people quickly discussed. However, in the next moment, their eyeballs almost popped out, because they saw a young figure descending from above, suspended in midair. "It's really you." When they saw the other party, they cried out in surprise, because they discovered that it was really that demon king. Not only did the other party not die, but he was also full of vigor. Even the aura on his body was stronger than before. God, the other party came to take revenge. "Damn kid, I'm going to kill you." The city lord was furious. Killing intent surged from his body, his black hair fluttering. His entire person was incomparably hideous. There was no choice. It was this kid in front of him who killed his son. Not only that, he even killed countless experts of his city, Lord's mansion. How could he tolerate this? In the next moment, he roared angrily and quickly rushed to the sky, his body erupting with endless light. A terrifying aura surged, turning into a surging river, directly rushing towards Lin Xian. Seeing this scene, all the martial artists in Qianshan City cried out in surprise. The city lord had made his move. Chapter 2391. Heavens, this is too terrifying. They knew that the city lord was a peerless almighty. Now that he was attacking with all his might, it was truly terrifying. That vast aura made them feel like they were suffocating. Can that kid block it? Who knows? That kid is very terrifying. Back then, many powerhouses chased after him, but he managed to escape. Now that he's still alive and kicking, it shouldn't be difficult for him to block it. A series of discussions sounded. Above, Lin Xian looked at the city lord and narrowed his eyes. Then, a terrifying aura erupted from his body, and sword qi filled the sky. Puff! The sword qi flickered, and the aura emitted from Lin Xian's body was like a divine rainbow cutting through the void. The terrifying aura directly slashed forward. What a powerful sword qi! The city lord was also shocked, and his pupils constricted. He did not expect the other party's aura to be so strong. No wonder he was able to escape the pursuit of so many powerhouses. But so what? This time I must kill him. Boom! A biting cold light erupted from the city lord's body. On his glabella, there was an incomparably terrifying rune that was like a small sword with peerless killing intent. With the small sword as the center, countless mysterious runes flickered around the city lord, covering the sky and earth. When this terrifying scene appeared, many warriors in Qianshan City were shocked. When they saw this scene, their eyes widened. Is this a killing formation? Heavens, the city lord is actually using his body as a formation. That's too terrifying. Using his body as a formation. Hearing this, Lin Xian also narrowed his eyes. Sure enough, looking at the other party's appearance, he had indeed formed a terrifying formation. However, it was different from ordinary formations. Ordinary formations were controlled by warriors. This time, the city lord directly turned into a formation, which could be said to be incomparably strange. Kid, be careful. That guy doesn't seem to be simple. Above, on the black demon ship, the Crimson Dragon also transmitted his voice. He was a formation master. If he said it was not simple, it naturally meant that the formation was incomparably dangerous. After Lin Xian heard this, he snorted coldly. No matter what kind of killing formation it was, he was not afraid. In the next moment, he pulled out the ancient dragon abyss sword and slashed out. The sword Qi was like a rainbow as it flashed rapidly in the sky, forming countless sword lights that pressed forward. The sword Qi that filled the sky seemed to have turned into a world of its own. It was extremely terrifying. Humph! You're no match for me. Scarlet feather killing formation, destroy! The city lord roared, and the red rune on his forehead trembled rapidly. The surrounding Dao runes spun rapidly, forming streaks of divine rainbows that shot into the sky. Boom! Boom! The collision between the two was extremely terrifying. A crack that was close to 10,000 meters wide appeared in the sky, as if the sky had been split in half. It was extremely terrifying. Large amounts of rain and lightning poured down from the crack. Whoa! Lin Xian snorted coldly and exploded with an incomparably cold light. This time he was here for revenge. He had no intention of wasting time with the other party. Therefore, he immediately activated his heavenly secret god eyes. Not only that, but the great dragon sword soul also emerged from his body, forming a sword shadow which he grasped in his hand. Floating light. The left eye of the heavenly secret divine eyes turned into a floating light that surged forward. Whoa! The soul energy passed through the formation and directly affected the city lord. The city lord's body trembled, and his eyes were filled with confusion. Puff! In the next moment, he bit his tongue and forced himself out of the illusion, spitting out large mouthfuls of blood. However, it was too late. At this moment, Lin Xian waved the dragon sword in his hand. Boom! The sword slashed the city lord's body, and the terrifying scarlet feather killing formation was mercilessly torn apart. Damn it, block it for me. Seeing this, the city lord roared crazily, and the spiritual energy in his body quickly circulated. It even started to burn. The sky was filled with red light, condensing around his body. Countless runes shone, forming a solid barrier. However, it was useless. Under this sword, everything was turned into ashes. Puff! The city lord was also sent flying. The 2 layers of armor on his body were directly broken, and his chest caved in. A large amount of blood spilled out like snow. His body landed heavily on the ground below the city lord's residence, creating a terrifying deep hole in the ground. What? The city lord was defeated. Everyone was stunned, including the martial artists in Qianshan City. The martial artists in the city lord's residence were dumbfounded. How was this possible? The city lord used his ultimate move, the scarlet feather killing formation. He turned his body into a terrifying sword formation, which could be said to be extremely terrifying. He could also be invincible when fighting against a peerless almighty. However, he was easily injured by the other party's sword. If he hadn't seen it with his own eyes, he wouldn't have believed it. Damn it, how was this possible? The city lord crawled out of the hole, covered in blood. His expression was extremely ugly. He didn't expect the other party to be so terrifying, especially that sword shadow which made his hair stand on end. Moreover, the other party was actually a soul power expert, and that technique was impossible to guard against. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly and looked below. He waved the dragon abyss ancient sword again, and a terrifying sword Qi would be released. What? He still wants to fight. The expressions of the people in the city lord's residence changed, and even the city lord was serious. He didn't expect the other party to still want to attack. Did he really want to kill him? But what a joke! If he killed him, would the 9 Li dynasty let him go? So in the next moment he dodged and roared. Damn brat, stop! Stop! Lin Xian snorted coldly. Give me a reason to stop. You can't kill me. I'm the city lord of Thousand Mountain City. The emperor of the 9 Li dynasty personally conferred the title. If you kill me, you'll be ignoring the emperor's prestige and challenging the 9 Li dynasty's imperial power. The 9 Li dynasty won't let you go. So what? Lin Xian's voice was cold, and he wasn't moved at all, not to mention that he was the lord of a mortal palace now. Even if he was alone in the past, he wouldn't be afraid of such a threat. One had to know that he dared to provoke the war race, and he dared to fight against the Tai dynasty, let alone the Ninely dynasty. So in the next moment, Lin Xian attacked mercilessly. The dragon-shaped sword Qi shone in the sky, and then the dragon tail swayed and rushed down, sky-shattering. When the dragon-shaped sword Qi came near the city lord, it directly shattered the sky. The entire void shattered, forming a terrifying black hole that enveloped the city lord. Boom! 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 The black hole kept getting bigger and bigger, spreading rapidly like a giant beast. The surrounding people of the city, Lord's mansion, fled frantically. However, most of them were directly swallowed up. Not only that, the surrounding buildings, land, and space were all completely swallowed up. The entire city, Lord's mansion, had become a pitch-black black hole. After a long time, it slowly shrank, and there was nothing left in the original place, only a bottomless pit. The city lord's mansion was destroyed. The city lord was killed. The other martial artists in Thousand Mountain City looked at this scene, and their scalps went numb. They knew that this should be the end of the world, because no one had ever dared to be so bold. Lin Xian put away the ancient sword, stepped into the air, and came to the black demon ship. Let's go to the Tongue family. The black demon ship shook, turned into a black stream of light, and instantly disappeared into the sky. Chapter 2392. It was not until a long time after the black demon ship disappeared that the cultivators of Qianshan City dared to stand up. They looked at the deep pit in front of them in horror, not daring to speak for a long time. On the other side, the black demon ship flew at an extremely fast speed in the direction of the Tongue family. A day later, the black demon ship stopped again. This was because they had arrived at the Tongue family. The Tongue family was not in any city. Instead, they occupied a spiritual mountain by themselves. After all, the Tongue family was the invincible house of kings. Their strength and status were much higher than that of the castellan's mansion. Therefore, they naturally occupied better spiritual veins. In front of them, mountains were everywhere and surrounded by white fog. It was a fairyland. In the mountain range, there were countless palaces and pavilions. The surroundings seemed calm, but Lin Xian and the others naturally felt that there was a terrifying formation here. However, some of the outer formations could not trap Lin Xian and the others at all. Therefore, the black demon ship directly drove out and rampaged. When they arrived in front of them, a ray of light shot into the sky. However, it was difficult to resist the power of the black demon legacy. In an instant, the formation shattered and scattered in all directions like a mirror. Soon, the black demon ship flew into the depths of the mountains unscrupulously. Finally, they stopped. There was a mountain gate in front of them. It was very majestic. Under the mountain gate, there were 4 disciples of the Tongue family guarding it. At this moment, they felt the change and raised their heads one after another. Then, their expressions changed drastically. Not good. There were enemies. They were too shocked. To be honest, an important place like a mountain gate would usually be heavily guarded. However, there were only 4 people in the Tongue family. This was because they were very confident that no one would dare to behave atrociously in the Tongue family. However, the situation now was beyond their expectations. One of them quickly soared into the sky and flew towards the mountains. It seemed that he was going to report something. The other 3 people drew their sabers and swords and pointed upwards. One of them sneered, "Who dares to trespass into the Tongue family?" 1 slash. On the black demon ship, Lin Xian looked at this scene and shouted coldly. Whoosh! Hui Dao stood out. His figure swayed and he appeared in the sky. With a clang, the full moon saber at his waist slashed out. The saber light was hazy like a full moon, emitting a terrifying aura. In an instant, The majestic mountain gate below was split into two halves. Not only that, but the bodies of the 3 Tongue family cultivators also split open in an instant, and they fell into a pool of blood. This saber strike was simply too astonishing. Not only was the mountain gate destroyed, but the ground was also split open. A huge crack appeared and extended inwards. It was as if a huge earthquake had occurred. Rumbling sounds could be heard. This finally caught the Tongue family's attention. Suddenly, countless lights lit up in the mountains. One figure after another soared into the sky. It was accompanied by angry roars. "Damn it, who is it? How dare you cause trouble in the Tongue family?" Countless silhouettes rushed out. There were at least a few hundred people. One could imagine how terrifying the Tongue clan was. Damn it, the mountain gate was actually destroyed. These people soared into the air. When they saw the scene before them, their faces turned extremely ugly. Their mountain gate had actually been directly hacked apart by someone. This was a blatant provocation. In the Ninely dynasty, no one dared to provoke the Tongue family like this. "Damn it, who the hell are you?" An old man shouted coldly. He looked at the pitch-black ship in front of him and frowned. This was because the aura it emitted was too terrifying. However, a cold snort was heard from the void. "Where's your clan leader? Tell him to come here and die." "What? Tell the Tongue family's clan leader to come here and die? Who in the world dares to say such a thing?" The Tongue family cultivators were so angry that their bodies trembled. The old man shouted coldly, "Go, catch him! Let's see what ability he has to say such a thing." Whoosh! 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 For rays of light flew over quickly like a meteor shower. These were 4 mighty figures. At this moment they attacked together. 4 sky-covering hands enveloped the sky, trying to catch Hui Dao. However, Hui Dao sneered. Light flowed on his body, and the full moon saber in his hand emitted a terrifying light. Subsequently, he slashed out with his saber. The saber light flickered in the air, cut the void, and slashed at the 4 sky-covering hands in the sky. Puff! 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 In an instant, the 4 sky-covering hands were slashed apart. Not only that, but the 4 people's arms were also directly cut off. The 4 mighty figures covered their broken arms and quickly retreated. Their faces were full of horror. Behind them, the Tongue family's cultivators were stunned. Heavens! Who is this young man in front of me? He actually cut off the hands of 4 mighty figures with one slash. Isn't this too terrifying? He's definitely a peerless genius. But which force does he belong to? How dare he behave atrociously in our Tongue family? Humph! They did not attack again. The old man took a step forward and snorted coldly. "I'll ask you again, who are you?" Although the other party only sent a young man. However, the strength that he displayed was simply too powerful. He had to be careful. "I'm the one who will kill you." Hu Dao snorted and said coldly, "I've said it before. Tell your clan leader to come here and die. You're courting death." "Boy, don't think that you can behave atrociously here just because you have some ability. The Tongue family is not a place you can come to." The old man was furious. He quickly attacked. A fist passed through the void and blasted toward Hui Dao. The air exploded in an instant, and a terrifying airwave rolled. It did not look like a fist at all. Instead, it was like a primordial demonic mountain. The sound coming from it was too terrifying. It shook the world, causing it to tremble rapidly. Hui Dao did not resist it head-on. He swayed his body and quickly dodged. In the sky, the terrifying fist followed his movements and chased after him. Seeing this, Hui Dao frowned and stopped in his tracks. His body emitted a terrifying light, and the full moon scimitar in his hand burst out. The light was so bright that people could not open their eyes. Buzz! He swung his scimitar forward and collided with a huge fist in the sky, causing an earth-shattering sound. It was as if someone had shaken the entire space. The sound was so loud that the Tongue family's cultivators behind him trembled. Many of them were bleeding from their ears. In the sky, the terrifying saber light and the huge fist disappeared at the same time. Hui Dao stood proudly. On the other hand, the Tongue family's elder's face changed drastically. How is this possible? The fact that the other party was actually able to contend against him was simply too surprising. The other party was just a young boy, but he was a figure who had lived for thousands of years. Could it be that the other party was already so powerful? He did not dare to imagine. However, 3 middle-aged men rushed over from behind. Their auras were also unparalleled. The 3 of them said together, "Elder, we're here to help you." As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they charged toward Hui Dao with great power. At the same time, the old man attacked again. Chapter 2393. Elder, let us help you. As soon as the 3 of them appeared, they charged toward Hui Dao with great power. At the same time, the elder attacked again. For a time, the 4 of them suppressed Hui Dao. However, it was difficult for them to hurt Hui Dao. Humph. At this moment, a cold snort came from the big black ship again. For against 1? What kind of ability is that? Let me accompany you, if you dare. Whoosh! A green figure appeared in the sky. It was a beautiful woman in a long green dress. As soon as she appeared, a peacock appeared behind her and spread its beautiful feathers. Thousands of green divine lights shrouded the front like meteors. Boom! 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 The 3 middle-aged mighty figures were sent flying and vomited blood. The elder kept retreating, but there was a huge shield in front of him that blocked the impact of the energy. Although he was not injured, his face was extremely ugly. Another young man is here. Another young genius who is equally terrifying. Damn it, what kind of force is this? How can there be so many young geniuses? Could it be a peerless sect or a peerless sacred ground? Or is it a royal family? He could not think of any other family that could be so terrifying. However, the elder snorted with a gloomy face. Do you think you can beat the Tongue family in terms of numbers? He was mad with anger. Indeed, this was the Tongue family's territory, and the Tongue family had experts. Moreover, with so many experts, he did not believe that they could not kill Hui Dao. Soon, the Tongue family's martial artists behind them also rushed forward. Not only that, but more and more experts came from all directions. They surrounded Hui Dao and Peacock. How dare you behave so atrociously in the Tongue family? You're courting death. Kill him and let him know the power of the Tongue family. Angry roars came one after another. Then the purple-clothed elder waved his hand, and all the experts around him attacked crazily. Humph! Hui Dao snorted. His body emitted a terrifying saber light as he attacked crazily. The saber lights were like the Milky Way, slashing in all directions. On the other side, Peacock also used her bloodline power, and the shadow behind her became more and more powerful. The 1,000 demon eyes appeared and formed a terrifying soul attack. Ah, ah, ah. Many people were hit. Hee, I'll play with you guys too. Right at this moment, an icy cold voice sounded. Soon, a blurry shadow appeared behind the 2 old men. Puff, puff. Black light flashed and 2 heads flew up. The corpses of the 2 old men fell to the ground. Seeing this scene, everyone went crazy and felt a chill run down their backs. As for the purple-clothed old man, he was also roaring madly. Damn it, be careful, there's an assassin. They didn't expect that there would be such a terrifying assassin among them. It really shocked them. Sure enough, no one dared to be careless. They quickly activated their battle armor, and the defensive light in front of them completely covered their bodies. One, the third to make a move, was naturally ghostly. After he ambushed a few experts, he waved his hand and shot out the white bone banner rice. The white bone banner waved, and a cold wind blew in the surroundings. The world darkened. Countless, vengeful spirits quickly appeared. There were even mountains of skeletons and a terrifying army of death charging over. For a time, the sky fell and the earth cracked. It was extremely terrifying. On the black demon ship above, Lin Xian and the others looked down with a sneer on their faces. They didn't need to make a move at all. Hui Dao and the other two could handle it. Sure enough, about half an hour later, the world returned to normal. The Tang family's martial artists retreated one after another. Most of them were injured, and many were directly killed. Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghost Li stood in the void, and the aura on their bodies became stronger. The Tang family was just SO. Peacock snorted coldly. Ghost Li's eyes lit up. Not bad, not bad. This time, I can absorb a lot of powerful, vengeful spirits. Indeed, he waved the white bone banner and absorbed the souls and blood essence of those killed. On the opposite side, the Tang family's people had extremely ugly expressions. In particular, the purple-clothed old man who led the group was trembling with anger. There was a saber mark on his body that almost cut off his arm. At this moment, he covered the wound and gritted his teeth as he asked, "Damn it, who are you people?" He was too shocked. 3 young men had beaten them to the point where they couldn't fight back. They didn't dare to imagine it at all. The 3 of them were top-notch, God-favored ones. What kind of force could produce so many terrifying, young, God-favored ones? I told you to get your patriarch here to die. Hu Yidao pointed his long saber forward and said coldly, "Damn it, they've gone too far." The purple-clothed old man roared angrily. The surrounding Tang family's martial artists were also trembling with anger. A few of the old ones vomited large mouthfuls of blood. They were too aggrieved. The Tang family had never been provoked like this. However, they really couldn't defeat them. Therefore, they could only ask for help from the family. Whoosh! The purple-clothed old man waved his hand, and a black rune quickly flew to the family. Boom! 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 In the next moment, countless powerful figures rushed out from the family. Each of them was like a demon god as they stepped on the air. This time, all of the people who came were of the elder rank. Their auras were very terrifying. At this moment, they were connected together as if 100,000 mountains had directly shattered the void. This time, 10 elders came, and each of them was abnormally terrifying. In particular, the 2 at the front were even more valiant. They had definitely reached the level of a peerless powerhouse. "Great Elder, you're here." When the purple-clothed old man saw this, he was overjoyed. The other people smiled as well. They knew the Tang family was truly furious. This time, they sent 10 elders at once. They thought that they could definitely suppress the other party. "Who are you? How dare you cause trouble in the Tang family?" The 10 elders looked around. When they saw the scene around them, their faces were terrifyingly dark. Humph! This time, before Hui Dao and the other 2 could speak, Lin Xian on the big black ship scoffed coldly. Whoosh! His body swayed, and he quickly landed in front of them. The Crimson Dragon and Xing Tian were also with him. The others stood on the big black ship and did not come down. However, as long as Lin Xian gave the order, these people would immediately make a move. "Why, have you forgotten about me so quickly?" After Lin Xian arrived in front of them, he sneered. Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Ghostly stood behind him respectfully. "So this is our leader?" Seeing this, the faces of the Tang family's martial artists changed. It seemed like the other party's leader had come out. Nevertheless, what shocked them was that the other party's leader was so young. They could not believe it. When they heard this and saw the other party's face clearly, the Tang family's martial artists exclaimed as if they were struck by lightning. Chapter 2394. What? Damn brat. It's actually you? How could you still be alive? They were too shocked because they recognized each other. Wasn't he being hunted down by the war tribe and countless powerhouses of the Tai dynasty? How could he still be alive? Moreover, he has such powerful subordinates. Damn it, who exactly is this brat? They were extremely shocked. It seems that his identity isn't simple. You recognize me? That's easy. Lin Xian sneered. Are you willing to kneel and die? Or are you prepared to be cut into pieces? I'll give you a choice. Kneel down obediently, and I'll give you a quick death. What, you want to kill us? Hearing this, the cultivators of the Tung family were furious. The elders also snorted coldly. Brat, I don't know how you survived, nor do I know what kind of power you have. However, you're too naive if you want to attack the Tung family. Let me tell you, the Tung family is an invincible family. Do you think you can contend against the invincible kings of our family? The invincible kings are indeed very strong, but I don't need to contend against them. I just need to kill you. Where's your clan leader? Tell him to come and die. Lin Xian knew that the clan leader must have agreed to the pursuit of those powerhouses last time. Therefore, he wanted to kill the clan leader and the 10 elders in front of him. Only then would it be considered revenge. What? You want to kill our clan leader? You're courting death. At this moment, an elder stood out and emitted a powerful aura. Terrifying energy surged in all directions. Brat, I'll kill you first. This was the 3rd elder of the other party. He was terrifyingly strong and was almost a peerless powerhouse. At this moment, he stood out with a monstrous aura. In the next moment, he threw a punch. The terrifying power shattered the void and directly rushed towards Lin Xian, wanting to kill him. Sensing this power, the cultivators of the Tung family trembled, but their eyes were filled with excitement. This was because they felt that this power was not much different from a peerless powerhouse. He won't be able to resist. You're courting death. Since that's the case, don't blame me for being impolite. Lin Xian sneered and raised his palm. The azure dragon hand condensed in his hand, and countless sword qi surrounded his fingertips. In the next moment, he slapped it. Boom! This palm contained the power of the great dragon sword soul and was extremely powerful. Therefore, he was able to blast the terrifying fist away with a single slap. Not only that, the azure dragon palm enveloped the 3rd elder and smashed him into a bloody mist. Boom! Blood filled the air, splattering everywhere. Countless cracks appeared in the terrifying space as a black hole rapidly spread out. Upon seeing this, the Tung family's martial artists were dumbfounded. What? The 3rd elder was killed? He was killed by a single palm strike. How could this be? In the next moment, he raised his palm, and a chaotic sword qi flew out and slashed in front of him. The sword was too terrifying. The sky was directly cut in half, and the terrifying aura made everyone tremble. The 1st elder's pupils constricted. He did not expect the other party to be so decisive. He attacked without hesitation. Damn it, get lost. Nevertheless, he was the 1st elder after all. He was a peerless powerhouse, and he even had the soaring serpent's bloodline power. Therefore, he would not admit defeat so easily. In the next moment, he roared and instantly activated his bloodline power. He knew that the other party was a great enemy, so he did not dare to be careless. Boom! He struck out with his palm, and the illusory image of a soaring serpent appeared in the sky. It bared its fangs and brandished its claws. It blocked the shocking, chaotic sword qi. Boom! 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 Energy exploded, and the surrounding space kept collapsing, but it was still blocked. Great! The 1st elder finally blocked it. Seeing this scene, everyone cried out in alarm. The Tung family's martial artists were so excited that they cried. This was because they felt that there was hope for the Tung family. No matter how strong that young fellow was, he could not be a match for the 1st elder. On the other side, Hu Dao and the other 2, who were beside Lin Xian, sneered. This was because they knew that their hall master was not only capable of this. The other party's 1st elder was probably going to be unlucky. Chapter 2395. Sure enough, at the next moment, the sword light on Lin Xian's body became even brighter. Countless sword lights lit up the entire sky. The sword seemed to be able to split heaven and earth. Boom! 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 The sky shook, the earth trembled, and the mountains in the distance rumbled. What? This sword technique is so fearsome. It can actually cause a phenomenon in heaven and earth. The faces of the Tang family's martial artists took on ghastly expressions when they saw this. The Tang family's great elder had a grave look on his face too. He roared furiously, and the energy in his body moved quickly. He did not dare to be careless at all. Next, endless lights gathered above him and formed a flying serpent that spiraled in the void. It rode on clouds and mists, and its fearsome aura enveloped the sky. Boom! 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 Its humongous body pressed down on Lin Xian as if it wanted to crush him. At this moment, the great elder finally used his bloodline power and summoned the illusory image of the flying serpent. That power was so strong that it shocked everyone. Boom! 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 The flying serpent shrouded the surroundings. Fearsome poisonous mist spread, and a murderous aura soared into the sky. The martial artists in the distance also quickly retreated. They retreated to the clan's formation and watched quietly. "Young fella, go to hell!" The great elder roared furiously, and the illusory image of the flying serpent above his head completely erupted. Lin Xian also frowned. He had to admit that the great elder was indeed formidable. The great elder's bloodline power had erupted at this moment, and he felt a hint of threat. Nevertheless, he sneered at the next moment, and a dragon's roar was heard coming from his body. In the sky, the cold aura was instantly extinguished, and the fearsome poisonous gases were also blown away by the strong wind. Buzz! The sword shook the 9 heavens and 10 earths. A shocking sword chi descended from the sky like an immortal light, and it collapsed the entire sky. The great elder was shocked because he realized that his opponent's sword chi was stronger than before. In a panic, he roared madly again and activated his bloodline power. Boom! 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 In the sky, intense collisions were heard. Fearsome lights lit up the entire sky, causing everyone to be unable to open their eyes at all. After the first attack, the great elder quickly retreated. Even so, the illusory image of the flying serpent wrapped around him tightly, so that he didn't get hurt too badly. On the other side, Lin Xian snorted coldly. He didn't retreat. Instead, he charged forward. Whom! The ancient dragon abyss sword appeared in the air, tearing the void apart. Demon ceiling. The sword soared into the sky. Even with the superb formation, the Tang family's martial artists could still sense bone-piercing chills. In the sky, countless clouds were pierced directly and huge cracks appeared. The terrifying sword light was like a mountain soaring into the sky. Pum! Countless sword chi turned into a huge seal, completely sealing off the sky. The soaring serpent roared madly and slammed into the gaps around it. However, each and every one of those sword chis was like a 5-fingered mountain. They were abnormally terrifying and could not be broken apart at all. Humph! Collapsing heaven. Another sword appeared in the sky, and the sky in front of him instantly collapsed. The soaring serpent was torn apart by the terrifying power. Puff! The soaring serpent's phantom was destroyed, and the great elder was sent flying, coughing up blood. His face was filled with shock and disbelief. His opponent had destroyed his soaring serpent so easily. How was this possible? That was the power of his bloodline. Chaotic rebellion. Lin Xian shouted coldly, and a hazy sword shadow appeared on his body. Tens of millions of sword chi crisscrossed and charged forward. The sky was instantly destroyed, and the great elder was enveloped by countless sword lights. Bang, bang, bang. A part of the world was pierced through. The elders roared madly, and attacked with all their might, wanting to tear apart the storm. They had to save the great elder. As for the surrounding spirit formations, they began to tremble violently. In fact, cracks had even appeared in some places. Whoosh! When everything disappeared, the great elder was covered in blood. More than half of his body had been cut off. At this moment, he was on his last breath. What? How could this be? Everyone was stunned when they saw this. They could not believe it at all. You're no match for me at all. Tell your patriarch to get out here. Otherwise, don't blame me for killing all of you. If you want our patriarch to come out, you'll have to kill me. The great elder roared madly. His face was ferocious, and the bloodline power in his body began to burn. It seemed like he wanted to fight to the death. Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly. Do you think I don't dare to do it? Metal sword. Lin Xian shouted coldly. He waved the ancient sword in his hand, and a golden light flashed as fast as lightning. Poof! The great elder's head flew up. This sword was simply too fast and incomparably sharp. It was simply impossible to guard against it. Even a peerless powerhouse could not dodge it at all. Moreover, the great elder was seriously injured, so he was killed by the sword. What sword technique is this? How can it be so terrifying? The Tang family's martial artists were horrified. The other elders also felt their scalps go numb. Lin Xian snorted coldly, but Hui Dao and the others were shocked. This seems to be the metal sword of the Immortal Palace's 5-element sword. This is a heaven-grade cultivation technique. Heavens, how long has it been since the Temple Master came to see us? Even if it's the first day of cultivation, it's probably only been a few months. To be able to use the metal sword to such an extent, his talent is too heaven-defying. At this moment, Hu Dao, Peacock, and Gili were shocked. They discovered that their hall master was simply too terrifying. Even the elders and deacons on the Black Demon ship were surprised. The 100 elite martial artists were extremely excited. Too powerful. Their temple master is too powerful. This made their blood boil. After killing the great elder with one sword, the sword chi on Lin Xian's body did not weaken. Instead, it became even more violent. It covered the entire sky, and the terrifying sword chi whistled. The Tang family's martial artists were extremely pale. Damn it, kill him. Fight it out with him. Some people in the formation gritted their teeth. Boom, boom, boom. They quickly activated their killing formations. One by one, the shocking killing formations rushed over. As the invincible House of Kings, the Tang family was very terrifying. They had a lot of killing formations. 5 killing formations were activated in an instant. One of them was as red as blood and carried flames that filled the sky. The other one was as black as ink and looked like rolling demonic clouds. There were also sword chi that filled the sky, terrifying saber lights, and violent thunder and lightning. The 5 killing formations shrouded Lin Xian in an instant, intending to kill him completely. The momentum was very terrifying. At this moment, the 5 of them attacked together, and they could kill an almighty. Therefore, the Tang family's martial artists who were in charge of killing revealed a ferocious expression. Buzz! Lin Xian did not hesitate either. In an instant, he activated the dragon sword domain. The domain kept expanding and instantly enveloped the 5 killing formations. Thousands of sword chi flew out quickly and instantly pierced through the 5 killing formations. Not only that, the thousands of martial artists in the 5 killing formations were instantly killed. Boom! 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 The sky split open, and black holes appeared one after another. Blood sprinkled down. Everyone was stunned by what they saw. The elders of the Tang family roared crazily. No! Damn it! Stop it! Chapter 2396. The elders of the Tang family roared crazily. No! Damn it! Stop it! Kill him, we must kill him. No matter what price we have to pay, we must kill him. At this moment the second elder roared. His eyes were red and filled with madness. The other elders were also filled with killing intent. More cultivators from the Tung family rushed over. Humph! Seeing this, Lin Xian snorted coldly and pointed his sword at the sky. Beside him, Hu Yidao, Peacock, and Gilly stood out and emitted a terrifying aura. Not only that, but Xing Tian also took a step forward. The aura on his body was like that of a primordial demon mountain, pressing down. The dark red holy dragon transformed into a divine dragon and roared. The bloodline power of the Tung family cultivators trembled. What, you want to fight? Do you believe that I won't destroy the Tung family today? The sword intent on Lin Xian's body became even more dazzling. In the sky, the black demon ship slowly descended. 100 young cultivators jumped off the ship. They flew quickly, and the aura on their bodies suddenly erupted. They were too excited and couldn't wait any longer. Now that they received Lin Xian's order, they quickly rushed out. They weren't the only ones. Dozens of deacons and elders also walked out together. The aura on their bodies was even stronger. For a moment, the figures behind Lin Xian were densely packed. Each of them was incomparably valiant. Damn it! Why does he have so many people? The people from the Tung family were truly dumbfounded. Each of them began to tremble. Even the elders' pupils shrunk. The aura of an almighty. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and so on. Heavens, how is this possible? So many. They realized that there were several almighties on the other side. In addition, the aura on the young cultivators was also abnormally terrifying. This is a group of geniuses, a group of powerhouses. Damn it, who is this kid? How does he have such a terrifying force? The Teng family cultivators were stunned and their faces were filled with fear. They didn't dare to make a move anymore. Indeed, they had more people, but their overall strength was no match for the other side. Unless they let all the warriors of the Tung clan come out and use their so-called trump card. In that case, they might be able to kill him. However, for the other party to be able to send out so many cultivators in an instant, the power behind them must be even more terrifying. In fact, he had even surpassed them. If they really offended such a figure, the Tung family would have a hard time in the future, even if they killed those people. This was especially true when they saw the mysterious smile on Lin Xian's face. They were extremely frightened. You dare to attack us? You really don't know what's good for you. Ghostly sneered. The martial artists from the Tung family gulped. The Tung family's elder had a grim look on his face. Who knew? A cold voice was heard coming from the depths of the Tung family. Then a terrifying force tore through the clouds, and a figure stepped through the air. Upon seeing this person, the Tung family's martial artists turned around and exclaimed, "Patriarch! Greetings to the Patriarch! Welcome, Patriarch!" It was great that the human race was here. The Tung family's martial artists roared madly. Even the elders heaved sighs of relief. This was because their patriarch was an extremely fearsome being. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes. The other party finally showed up. When he took a step forward, another figure appeared in the sky. It was a middle-aged man who wore a white robe and had black hair draped behind his back. His eyes were long and narrow, and they shone brightly. "I'm surprised that you're still alive. Your strength is also beyond my expectations. Why don't we just let this matter rest? How about we each take a step back?" The Tung family's patriarch looked at Lin Xian and said in a deep voice, "Take a step back." Upon hearing this, the Tung family's elders were shocked. The martial artists were also in an uproar. Is the Tung family going to admit defeat? This is really a groundbreaking matter. The Tung family was the invincible house of kings. They had never given in to anyone before. Now, they actually gave in to a young man. This was unbelievable. Nonetheless, when they saw the many fearsome powerhouses behind the young man, they fell silent. Take a step back? Lin Xian sneered when he heard this. When you sent the Tang family's powerhouses to kill me, did you ever think of taking a step back? Now that you've seen my strength, you're telling me to take a step back? Do you think there's such a good thing in the world? Today, you and these elders must die. What? As soon as he said that, all the Tang family's martial artists were stunned. The other party was too arrogant. The Tang family had already given in, but the other party was still unyielding. He wants to kill us? He even wants to kill our patriarch? He's going too far. They roared angrily. The Tang family's patriarch's face darkened. Young fella, don't be too arrogant. Don't think that you can contend against the Tang family just because you can summon so many powerhouses. The Tang family's foundation isn't something you can imagine. Is that so? Isn't he just an invincible king? Let him come out and see if I have a way to deal with him. Lin Xian did not care at all. Buzz! His eyes became incomparably cold, and the aura on his body suddenly burst out. He pointed his long sword forward. Cut the crap and die. He slashed with his sword, and the vast sword light caused the entire sky to tremble. Stubborn! Today I'll suppress you. The Tang family's patriarch was also furious. Next, he waved his sleeve and slapped out his palm. At once, a purple flying snake flew out. The snake's shadow kept growing in the sky like a mountain. It was extremely terrifying. Its enormous body filled the sky, crushed the space, and ruthlessly collided with the sword chi. Boom! An earth-shattering sound spread out in all directions. The Tang family's martial artists vomited mouthfuls of blood and kept retreating. It was too terrifying. Just the aftermath of the energy was enough to make them unable to withstand it. Everyone retreated into the defense formation. A few elders shouted crazily, and they also kept retreating. On the other side, Hu Yidao and the others also retreated to the big black ship. In front of them, only the Tang family's patriarch and Lin Xian were left. Boom! Boom! Seeing that his clansmen had retreated, the Tang family's patriarch no longer had any scruples. The light on his body became more terrifying. Lin Xian was like a sword god, and his attacks were bold and unrestrained. The two of them fought crazily as if two gods had descended to the mortal world. Boom! Lin Xian punched out, and the sky was filled with light. The terrifying fist turned into a black sun and pushed out horizontally in the sky. Burning sky, scorching sun fist. This was the war tribe's divine ability. When it appeared in Lin Xian's hands, it was extremely terrifying. Humph! Watch me devour your son. The Tang family's patriarch stretched out his 10 fingers, which turned into 10 ferocious snakes that danced in the sky. Each of the snakes was 3 kilometers long and crushed the void. At this moment, the 10 snakes moved together as if they were going to destroy the world. Roar! Roar! Chapter 2397. Each Ting snake was 1,000 feet long. Their huge bodies rotated in the air and crushed the void. At this moment, the 10 Ting snakes moved together as if they were going to destroy the world. Roar! 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 The 10 purple tongue snakes waved in the sky, opened their bloody mouths, and swallowed all the black suns in the sky. This scene was too terrifying. It was as if they were going to devour the world. The martial artists of the Tang family clapped and cheered. After Lin Xian saw this, he sneered. So what if they swallowed his fist technique? Watch me refine your Tang snakes. As he spoke, he stretched out a palm and grabbed. This palm was extremely terrifying. It kept growing bigger and bigger, covering the entire world. One couldn't see the end of it. Not only that, but the sun, moon, and stars revolved in his palm. It was very mysterious. Sun, moon, divine palm. This was also a terrifying divine ability. At this moment, Lin Xian used the great dragon sword soul again. Boom! 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 The sun-moon divine palm fell mercilessly and enveloped the tenting snakes in the sky. Whoosh! Airwaves rolled and light shone. The sun, moon, and stars revolved as if they could destroy everything. The 10-tongued snakes roared crazily and counterattacked crazily. However, their bodies started to rupture. Countless cracks appeared on their bodies. Then they exploded with a boom. Between heaven and earth, countless spiritual chi appeared. The tenting snakes had disappeared. What? They were destroyed. How was this possible? The martial artists of the Tongue family couldn't believe it. However, in the next moment, they screamed. This was because they realized that after the palm destroyed the tenting snakes, it once again grabbed towards their clan leader. Buzz! In an instant, the sun-moon divine palm appeared in front of the Tongue family's clan leader. The terrifying energy directly cracked the void. Ah, damn it, get lost! The Tongue family's clan leader roared crazily. Mysterious patterns appeared on his body, and the power of his bloodline was also activated. At this moment, he was like a demon king, resisting the sun-moon divine palm in the sky. Buzz! 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 The sun-moon divine palm was boundless and mysterious. It completely grabbed the Tongue family's clan leader and slowly closed its 5 fingers. Finally, it closed completely. Clan leader. When the Tongue family warriors saw this scene, they roared crazily. The hearts of the Tongue family's elders pounded wildly. They did not dare to imagine that their clan leader had been captured by the other party. The reason for that was because the power of the sun, moon, and stars was simply too frightening. Even a peerless expert would be injured. Boom! Just as they decided to take action and save the clan leader together, the situation in front of them changed again. The palm that was originally closed slowly opened at this moment, and a figure rushed out quickly. Damn brat! I'm going to kill you. I will definitely tear you to shreds. The person who rushed out was the Tongue family's patriarch. His hair was disheveled at the moment, and his white robe was torn, revealing a blue armor. There was a black, demonic tripod cauldron above his head, which gave rise to monstrous, demonic flames. Not only that, but there was also a terrifying, soaring serpent coiling around his body. Brat, I will never forgive you. The Tongue clan patriarch's voice was cold as he clenched his fist. Suddenly, the shadow of the soaring serpent behind him flowed into his hand and transformed into a purple long spear. Brat, you will pay the price for your actions. The Tongue family's patriarch waved the purple long spear in his hand, and the void in front of him was completely split open. A terrifying power charged toward Lin Xian. Lin Xian wielded the Dragon Abyss ancient sword to resist it. The two of them fought again. On the 99th move, Lin Xian's ancient sword suddenly emitted a light, and 2 of the runes disappeared. As for that power, it instantly burst forth. Boom! The sword slashed down and collided with the purple long spear, causing cracks to appear on the purple long spear. Another 3 slashes were made, and the purple long spear was directly shattered. As for the Tongue family's patriarch, he kept retreating. Damn it! How did this happen? The Tongue family's patriarch's face darkened, and the others were all stunned. What's going on? How did the other party suppress their patriarch again? They could not believe it at all. Buzz! A dragon-shaped sword shadow appeared in Lin Xian's left hand again, and he directly turned toward the black, demonic tripod cauldron. The sword cut the black, demonic tripod cauldron in half. Poof! The black, demonic tripod cauldron was originally a defensive treasure, and it was very powerful. However, after it was cut in half, the Tongue family's patriarch was immediately hit by the impact. He spat out mouthfuls of blood and was sent flying. Good chance. When Lin Xian saw this, his body flashed, and he charged toward the patriarch. Runes flickered in his left eye. The floating light phantom flew out and immediately pulled the patriarch's soul into an illusion. Then he struck with both swords and slashed the patriarch's body. In an instant, The Tang family's patriarch's body caved in, and he was even cut in half at the waist. Blood spurted out, dyeing the sky red. The Tang family's martial artists were completely crazy. Their patriarch was cut in half by a sword. It was truly unbelievable. Ah! The Tang family's patriarch roared crazily in the sky. Soon, something shocking happened. Countless purple snake shadows suddenly appeared at the cut in half of his body, and they quickly intertwined. His severed body actually healed once again. Whoosh! In the next moment, the Tang family's patriarch's body appeared in the distance. He was panting heavily, and his face was abnormally pale. However, his eyes were extremely ferocious and emitted a purple light. Damn it! The Tang family's patriarch was furious. If he did not have the Tang snake bloodline, he would have been killed by this sword. On the other side, Lin Xian also frowned when he saw this. He's not dead? Moreover, his body healed? What technique is this? It's so strange. Young fella, this is the Tang snake bloodline power, a kind of divine ability. As long as it's not a fatal injury, it can usually heal. He too explained through voice transmission. The Tang snake has such a divine ability. Lin Xian was surprised. This is equivalent to an immortal body. However, if it was a fatal blow, he would definitely be killed. Even if the patriarch could heal, it would probably be useless. Whoosh! In front of him, the Tang family's patriarch took out a few pills from his interspatial ring and quickly swallowed them. He also consumed a purple Ganoderma and a bottle of black liquid. Then his exhausted physical strength and injuries were quickly healing. Healing? So what? This sword strike is enough to kill you. Seeing that the patriarch had recovered, Lin Xian did not go forward to stop him at all. He took a deep breath, and a piercing cold light suddenly burst out from his eyes. Then the great dragon sword in his left hand and the ancient dragon abyss sword in his right hand merged into one. Buzz! He held the sword with both hands and slashed out. Snake swallows heaven and earth. On the other side, the Tang family's patriarch also launched an extremely powerful attack. His entire body twisted and turned into a huge purple snake in the sky. It was 50,000 meters tall, and then it swooped down. The snake opened its mouth and instantly swallowed the entire world. The sky instantly darkened, and only endless sword lights flickered. Thank you for the reward. Thank you? Glory? Why, Yin Tao's reward. You shouldn't have rewarded so enthusiastically. The Turking's reward, if it's possible to reward, I'll reward you inexplicably. Chapter 2398. Everyone, including the martial artists from the Tang family, exclaimed in shock. On the other side, Hui Dao and the others frowned. Tang Jia's clan leader was so arrogant that he dared to devour all of them. Was he not afraid of dying from overeating? Sure enough, before they could make a move, the piercing sword light in the sky collided with the giant python. Boom! 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 A sonorous sound resounded in all directions like a clap of thunder. The darkness in the surroundings quickly faded away. The sky became clear again, and there was even a rain of blood falling from the sky. The Tang family's clan leader screamed in agony as his body split open. The giant flying serpent that he had transformed into a split open by the sword. Ah! The Tang family's clan leader screamed crazily as the two halves of his body rolled in the sky, forming countless snake shadows that circled around each other. They were about to be reunited. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. How could he give the clan leader such a chance? Next, he activated the soul-burning secret technique in his right eye and burned the clan leader's soul. Ah! The Tang family's clan leader screamed in agony as his body rolled in the air. It was impossible for him to guard against this kind of soul attack. At the same time, Lin Xian's long sword emitted a dazzling light again. He slashed his sword at the clan leader's head. Boom! 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 Terrifying light vibrated as the sword slashed off the clan leader's head. Moreover, the soul creation brought about by the soul-burning secret technique was effective. The Tongue family's clan leader's soul was burned clean. This time, even if he had an immortal body, he would not be able to survive. Sure enough, in the next moment, the Tongue family's clan leader's body stiffened in the sky and fell to the ground. Clan leader. Seeing this, the Tongue family's martial artists were all stunned. The elders of the Tongue family were also stunned. What happened? Their clan leader had the purest flying serpent bloodline and was known as an immortal body. No matter how heavy his injuries were, he could still recover. However, their clan leader was motionless and had no reaction at all. Could it be that their clan leader was killed? Thinking of this, they gasped. How was this possible? Swoosh, swoosh, swoosh. In the sky, the elders moved quickly and arrived beside their clan leader in an instant. They quickly sensed the clan leader's clan leader. In the next moment, their scalps went numb. Clan leader. They roared out crazily because they discovered that the clan chief's aura was already gone, his body ice cold. His life force was clearly extinguished. No, damn it, I don't believe it. The patriarch had an immortal body. They roared crazily. In the distance, the Tongue family's martial artists were dumbfounded. Humph! Lin Xian snorted coldly. What immortal body! Under his great dragon sword spirit and heavenly secret god eyes, everything would be destroyed. Next, it's up to you old fellows. Kneel down obediently and I'll give you a quick death. Lin Xian's voice was cold, and the long sword in his hand flashed again. Ah, the elders roared madly. They had truly gone mad. They had gone too far. Fight it out with him. The remaining 7 or 8 elders roared at the sky and charged over. Boom! Boom! A great battle broke out. However, Lin Xian did not hold back. At this moment, the heavenly fate divine eyes, great dragon sword spirit, and ancient dragon abyss sword were fully utilized by him. His speed was like that of a ghost, appearing and disappearing unpredictably. In the blink of an eye, he had killed 5 elders. The remaining 3 elders fled crazily. With another 2 slashes, the other 2 elders were split in half in the sky. In the end, only the 2nd elder was left. He was also a peerless almighty. At this moment, his body was covered in blood, and his eyes were red like a demon. He did not expect the other party to be so powerful that he could kill so many elders in the blink of an eye. He could not believe it. He did not make a move. Instead, he roared crazily. Great ancestor! Supreme elder! He was really afraid. He knew that he was no match for the other party at all. However, the Tongue family would not be so simple. They had their own foundation. Sure enough, a few powerful auras were awakened amidst the voice. This aura was too terrifying. It was like a prehistoric beast that crushed the void. It was even more terrifying than the previous elders and the Tongue family's patriarch. The living fossil elders had come out. Seeing this, the Tongue family's martial artists exclaimed. They knew that the Tongue family was fine. Each of these living fossil elders had lived for more than 3,000 years. It could be said that they were very terrifying. Normally, they would not come out. They would only make a move when the family was in danger. Now that they had come out, they could suppress everything. The 5 living fossil elders stood in the air. Their hair hung down to their heels, and their faces were full of vicissitudes of life. They leaned on their walking sticks and their bodies were trembling. Nevertheless, when they saw the scene in front of them, and even the Tongue family's patriarch who had been killed, they were all furious. They roared at the sky, and their bodies burst out with a biting cold aura. Their turbid eyes instantly became sharp like divine lamps, and they were extremely dazzling. Who are you? The 5 living fossils stared at Lin Xian and the martial artists behind Lin Xian. They frowned very tightly. Buzz! All of a sudden, clouds and mist rolled in the sky. A huge human face appeared. This human face was very demonic. It looked like a human, but it was covered in scales. In particular, its eyes were purple and flickered with a strange light. As soon as this human face appeared, its aura was even more terrifying than the 5 living fossils combined. This was because it was the aura of an invincible king. Greetings, great ancestor. At this moment, the 10 million martial artists of the Tang family respectfully bowed and congratulated him. Even the 5 living fossil elders in the sky bowed one after another. This was because this human face was the projection of their Tang family's great ancestor, an invincible king. In the sky, as soon as the invincible king's human face appeared, his purple eyes shot out 2 purple lightning bolts that struck Lin Xian. It contained the power and will of an invincible king, and it was very terrifying. The surrounding people were shocked, and even Hui Dao and the others felt cold all over. Lin Xian snorted coldly. With a wave of his hand, the saint's hand bone appeared above his head, emitting the aura of a saint. In an instant, the 2 purple lightning bolts were destroyed. In the next moment, his expression was incomparably cold. At the same time, Xing Tian, who was beside him, also shouted angrily and stood out. "Very well. How dare you attack my young master? Do you want to die?" His voice was like thunder, and it shook the surroundings. This was the aura of a saint. In the sky, the demonic human face ignored Xing Tian. Instead, it stared at the saint's hand bone. In the next moment, his eyes shone brightly. He did not expect to encounter a saint's treasure. Perhaps this is the opportunity for me to break through. Buzz. Next to the human face, a terrifying hand appeared and grabbed downward as if it wanted to grab the saint's hand bone. "You're courting death." Seeing this, Lin Xian's face completely darkened. Behind him, an elder of the immortal palace waved his hand when he saw this. Chapter 2399. Whoosh! A black mirror appeared in the sky and floated above his head. Then a black ray of light flew out. It blasted towards the terrifying palm in the sky. Boom! The palm was instantly pierced through. Then it turned into spiritual qi and dissipated in the void. Seeing this scene, the martial artists of the Tang family went crazy. They couldn't believe it. That was the palm of an invincible king. It was so terrifying that even living fossils couldn't resist it. However, the other party destroyed it easily. What exactly was that black mirror? In the sky, the demonic face was also angry and shocked. "Damn it! How dare you destroy my attack? All of you must die." A cold, killing intent appeared in his eyes. However, in the next moment he was stunned. Not only was he stunned, but his demonic face was also filled with shock. This was because the second elder raised his hand and threw out a golden scroll. The aura of this scroll was too terrifying. Even the invincible kings were terrified. Lin Xian was also shocked. He felt that the aura on the scroll was very similar to the aura of his saint's hand bone. It should be something passed down by the saint. No wonder the invincible kings were afraid. "Damn it, who are you?" The demonic face didn't attack. Instead, he gritted his teeth and asked, "Who are we? Don't you know now?" That elder shouted coldly. The golden scroll above his head shone even more brightly. It even formed mysterious runes that surrounded the surroundings. "What? It's you." When the demonic face saw the shape of those runes, his pupils immediately constricted. His purple eyes were filled with shock. Obviously, he recognized what it was. A smile appeared on Lin Xian's face when he saw this scene. Since they recognized him, things would be much easier. He didn't believe that the other party would dare to fight against Immortal Palace. So what if they were Invincible House of Kings? Immortal Palace had 6 protector elders, and all 6 of them were invincible kings. This was only the strength on the surface. Immortal Palace's foundation was probably terrifying. As expected, the demonic face was no longer arrogant. Instead, it asked in a deep voice, "What do you want?" "You'll have to ask our palace master." Immortal Palace's elder said coldly. "What? Palace master?" The demonic face looked at Lin Xian in disbelief. However, in the next moment, he still asked, "May I ask, Hall Master, what are your plans?" "I've said before that I'll let the Tongue family live if I kill your patriarch and the 10 great elders." Now that the Tongue family's patriarch was dead, only one of the 10 great elders was left. Tell him to obediently roll over and accept his death. What? Did he really have to kill all 10 elders? The Tongue family's martial artists were shocked. The demonic face in the sky was also silent. "Damn, brat, you've gone too far." Second Elder Zhang roared crazily. The 5 living fossils didn't expect the other party to still want to kill them. Their faces darkened and their eyes emitted a biting, killing intent, because they still didn't know what kind of power the other party was from. However, they didn't dare to act rashly. They could tell that their patriarch was extremely wary of the other party. Otherwise, with their old ancestor's character, he would have killed everyone with a single slap. However, their old ancestor didn't do that. This meant that the other party's identity was definitely not simple. In the sky, the demonic face was silent for a moment. Then it asked, "Is what you said true? Are you willing to let the Tongue family go?" "Of course, as long as you issue an apology to the Tongue family and spread it throughout the Li dynasty, I can let the Tongue family go." "Okay, it's settled then." The demonic face nodded and said, "Do it then." "What?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. They simply couldn't believe their ears. What did our great ancestors say? Do it? Are we really going to let the other party kill our only remaining second elder? God, what exactly is going on? At this moment, the Tongue family's martial artists were all dizzy. The 5 living fossils were also dumbfounded. Why? Our great ancestor doesn't care? How's this possible? Who exactly is the other party? How can he make our great ancestor afraid? They dared not imagine. Second Elder's vision turned black and he almost fainted. He looked at the figure in front of him and his body trembled. Next, he turned around and fled. Humph. Seeing this, Lin Xian sneered in disdain, and a hint of coldness appeared in his eyes. As expected, the demonic face in the sky once again sent down 2 purple lightning bolts, directly killing Second Elder. What? Second Elder was killed. Seeing this, all the Tongue family's martial artists didn't dare to say anything. The 5 living fossils' mouths also twitched. In the sky, the demonic face said, "Don't worry, I will announce to the entire Li dynasty that I apologize to you." "That would be best." Lin Xian said coldly. Then he put away the ancient sword, turned around and waved his hand. "Let's go." Behind him, the Immortal Palace's martial artists boarded the black demon ship one after another. Then the black demon ship swayed, turned into a ray of black light, and disappeared into the sky. Below, the Tongue family's martial artists were in a daze. Today's scene would probably become a nightmare for them for the rest of their lives. On the other side, Lin Xian and the others left the Tongue family and set off for the Great Xia dynasty again. Lin Xian returned to his room and went into seclusion to comprehend the 5-element sword. Although he had only used one sword in the previous battle, the power of the metal sword was beyond his expectations. It seemed that if the 5-element sword was mastered, it would definitely be terrifying. At this moment, the Great Xia dynasty could be said to be in turmoil. All the sacred grounds, peerless sects, and powerhouse families in the 5 continents had rushed over. This was because the ancient tomb of a saint had appeared here. Moreover, there was the legend of the nest of 10,000 dragons in Zhongzhou. Every piece of news moved them. Therefore, countless powerhouses would come to the Great Xia dynasty. The martial artists of the Great Xia dynasty were extremely nervous, especially the royal family of the Great Xia dynasty. They had mobilized all their forces. However, they weren't too worried. This was because they believed that even if those people came to look for treasures, they wouldn't dare to touch the royal family of the great Xia dynasty. They had this foundation. After all, the royal family of the great Xia dynasty had produced a great emperor. Moreover, there were extreme weapons in the palace. With the suppression of extreme weapons, they believed that no one would dare to cause trouble in the imperial capital. They also sent powerhouses to the ancient tomb of the saint. Moreover, they were the closest, so they had already sent people when the ancient tomb was first discovered. Not only the royal family, but all the major families in the great Xia dynasty had also sent people. However, the ancient tomb of the saint was extraordinary. Even though they had cracked it for 1 or 2 months, they still couldn't crack it. In fact, they even triggered a trap that caused many powerhouses to fall. However, in the past few days, with the arrival of powerhouses from all over the world, some of the restrictions on the periphery of the ancient tomb were broken. Chapter 2400. In the past few days, with the arrival of experts from all over the world, some of the restrictions outside the ancient tomb had been removed. Therefore, the ruins outside the ancient tomb had also appeared in front of everyone. Although they were dilapidated, there might be 1 or 2 treasures after so many years. Therefore, those experts were searching the surrounding ruins. At this moment, there were 2 groups of experts confronting each other in one of the ruins. Their auras were very heavy, and there were even countless cracks in the space between them, as if it would collapse at any time. Get lost. This is the territory of the great Xia dynasty. The rest of you leave. A middle-aged man shouted coldly, his body full of murderous intent. The people behind him also looked solemn. They were emitting a terrifying aura, and the weapons in their hands were shining with a cold light. It was as if they would start a fight at any moment. On the opposite side, there was also a group of people with powerful auras, and most of them were women. The leader was even more beautiful. Her appearance was like a fairy, and her purple dress shone brightly. She was like a fairy from the 9 heavens, descending to the mortal world. The woman in purple said indifferently, "This is an ancient ruin, and it doesn't belong to anyone. You want to take over this place just because you're from the great Xia dynasty? Aren't you a little too overbearing?" "Humph. So what if you're overbearing?" At this moment, a young man in the opposite group snorted. Then he held a long sword and stabbed it over. The sword flashed and turned into a long rainbow in the sky, quickly stabbing towards the woman in purple. Buzz! Seeing this scene, the woman in purple did not panic at all. The people behind her were also expressionless. When the long sword was close to her, the woman in purple slowly stretched out her hand and slapped it forward. With one slap, the wind and clouds changed. The long sword shattered, and the young man vomited blood and flew out, landing in the distance. The faces of those martial artists on the other side were filled with terror. This woman is so powerful. The young man who attacked just now was also a genius from their family, but he couldn't even take a single slap from her. "Who is this person?" "Damn it, who are you?" a middle-aged man asked. "Jade Lake, Murong Chingching." The woman in purple answered coldly. "What? She's from the Jade Lake sacred ground." Hearing this, the faces of the people on the opposite side turned ugly. The Jade Lake sacred ground was an existence that could stand shoulder to shoulder with the royal clan of Grand Xia. However, it was nothing compared to the Jade Lake sacred ground. Therefore, in the next moment, the middle-aged man gritted his teeth. "Let's go." Soon these people left. A smile appeared on the corner of Murong Chingching's mouth as she waved her hand and said, He searched the entire ancient ruins, not missing a single detail. Yes, Saintess. The martial artists behind him moved quickly. Things like this often happened in the surrounding ruins. Not only the Jade Lake sacred ground, but the other sacred grounds of the eastern wilderness had also come, and their leaders were all saints and saintesses. Of course, the princes of Zhongzhou State also came. The experts from the clans of the Western Desert, Northern Plains, and Southern Ridge had also arrived. In a short period of time, it could be said that heroes and geniuses rose together. There were more battles in the past few days than in the past 10 years. There were often people who directly attacked without saying a word. Or, if they were not convinced of each other's superiority, they would also start fighting. Boom! Two figures soared into the sky, blasting apart a part of the world. In the distance, everyone exclaimed. That was the 5th prince of the Li dynasty, right? Who was fighting with him? Judging from the lightning aura, it seemed to be the 10,000 Thunder, sacred ground saint. Haha! I've long heard that there are many outstanding people in Zhongzhou State. Today, I'll experience it for myself. A young man with a red giant sword on his back stood in the void and laughed loudly. He released a terrifying sword chi that pierced through all directions. Who are you? Someone in the crowd shouted coldly. It was the great Yen saint, Xiang Wentian. What? It's actually him. No wonder his aura was so powerful. Many of the older generation looked at the sky in shock. I'll fight you. In the distance, a green stream of light spun quickly and instantly arrived nearby. Then, the green light that filled the sky disappeared, and a handsome young man appeared above everyone. Who are you? Xiang Wentian asked coldly. He was tall and looked like a demon king, looking down on everyone. Great Xia dynasty, Marquis Qing Yi. The person's voice was equally cold. What? It was actually Great Xia dynasty's Marquis Qing Yi. The surrounding experts were shocked. They had heard that a very impressive young genius had appeared in the Great Xia dynasty. At such a young age, he had been conferred the title of Marquis. One had to know that that was a status second only to the Marquis. Every single one of those kings and marquises had lived for 1,000 or 2,000 years, and were experts who had shocked both ancient and modern times. There were very few people who had been conferred the title of Marquis at such a young age, like Marquis Qingyi. He was definitely a peerless genius. Good, you're worthy of my attack. Xiang Wentian laughed loudly, and his sword Qi surged into the sky. Most of them slashed towards Marquis Qingyi. Marquis Qingyi snorted coldly, and green light bloomed from his body like a demon king. The battle between the two was earth-shattering. There were many young people like this. At this moment, the saints of the various sacred grounds, the princes, and the geniuses of the aristocratic families were all unconvinced after meeting. Therefore, there were many exchanges. Ha 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 ha, old man, where are you going? Suddenly, a thunderous voice came from the sky, shaking everyone below and making them unable to stand steadily. These people raised their heads and looked at the sky in horror. Heavens, who was this? Just the voice alone was so terrifying. Needless to say, it must be a peerless expert. In the next moment, they saw an old man fleeing frantically in front of them. That old man's hair was disheveled, and his body was broken. There was blood at the corner of his mouth. At this moment, his body was burning with light as he fled quickly, like a stream of light. What? It was a peerless, mighty figure. A peerless, mighty figure was actually fleeing? Who was it? Was he chasing after a peerless, mighty figure? The surrounding experts were stunned. They didn't dare to believe it at all. From the current situation, although the major forces from all over the world had come, most of them were mighty figures, and the powerful ones were peerless powerhouses. The invincible king had yet to appear. In other words, the strongest person now was a peerless, mighty figure. But now a peerless, mighty figure was actually being hunted down? This made them unable to believe it. Old man, you can't escape. In the sky, a sneer came again. Immediately after, two auras rolled over from afar. One of them was shining brightly like a Buddha. The other half of the sky was as black as ink, as if a demon king had come out. Two completely opposite auras coexisted in the sky and rolled forward. Who was this person? What a terrifying aura! Sensing the phenomenon in the sky, everyone's scalps went numb. In the next moment, they were even more terrified because they saw a figure standing in the golden light and demonic sword. It was a very strange figure. Chapter 2401. This person's body was very tall, at least 3 meters tall. What was even more strange was that he had 4 hands and 2 heads. It was as if 2 people were sharing the same body. That was Middle Ground's twin kings. They did not expect that they would come as well. Many people were terrified and their scalps went numb. When the others heard that name, they were also shocked. What? Were they the Middle Ground's twin kings? Legend had it that they were extremely terrifying and were very strange coexisting entities. The elder brother, the virtuous one, had the aura of light. The younger brother, the evil one, had the aura of darkness. The 2 of them shared the same body, but they could cultivate separately. It could be said that it was very strange. There was probably no other person like them in the entire world. At this moment, not only the older generation figures, but the saints and saintesses of the various sacred grounds also raised their heads and looked at the sky. Their eyes flickered, because they could feel that the aura of the Middle Ground's twin kings was extremely terrifying. They were not weaker than them. Moreover, the other party was equivalent to 2 people. If they really fought, it would be 1 against 2. Probably not many people could really contend against them. Old man, stay here. Above, the evil one sneered. Boundless demonic chi rolled and turned into 4 demonic pillars that rushed over. In an instant, the peerless powerhouse in the distance was trapped. He was trapped! All the martial artists below exclaimed. But the expression of the peerless powerhouse in the sky changed drastically. His palms moved, wanting to shatter the 4 demonic pillars. The red palm slapped out, instantly shattering the void in front of him. Endless red light swept through the 9 heavens like a wave. Boom! 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 Intense collisions sounded in the sky. 2 of the 4 demonic pillars were shattered, and the old man was able to escape. However, at this time, the Middle Ground's twin kings had already arrived near the old man. Old man, you still want to run? Stay here, the evil one slapped out, and a large black palm descended from the sky. The peerless old man resisted, and the 2 of them fought until the sky collapsed and the earth cracked. However, at this time, the virtuous one also made his move. The sea of bitterness is boundless. Repent and be saved. I really don't want to make a move, but you're better than me. Although he said that he was unwilling to make a move, the virtuous one's attack was not weak at all. There was a golden wheel in his hand, and when he swung it, golden lights filled the sky. They were like sharp swords that pierced through the void. The evil child and the good child, both of them were equivalent to supreme almighties. At this moment, the 2 of them were attacking together, and it was 2 against 1. Perhaps even peerless almighties would not be able to resist it. Sure enough, when the old man saw this scene, his face turned pale with fright. The next moment, he roared and waved his hand. Something appeared in his sleeve. That thing flickered with a 5-colored radiance. As soon as it appeared, it floated in front of him. The 5-colored radiance blocked the virtuous child's golden wheel. What was that? How terrifying! The martial artists below also exclaimed when they saw the 5-colored light. He didn't expect the old man to have such a precious treasure. The virtuous and evil children smiled when they saw this. Old man, we found this in the ruins. I didn't expect that you would dare to snatch it. Now, kneel down obediently and hand over the treasure. I can give you a quick death. You'd better listen to him. Otherwise, you'll end up in a miserable state. The virtuous son also said indifferently, Heck, this was clearly found by me. You were jealous and wanted to snatch it away. You 2 monsters, kill me if you have the ability. Otherwise, you won't have the chance to get this ancient treasure in your lifetime. Monsters? You called us monsters? The virtuous child's face was gloomy, while the evil child roared angrily. Half of the sky was filled with demonic aura. The two of them hated it when others called them monsters the most, because it was unbearable for them. "Old man, you've angered me. Today, I will definitely kill you," the evil child roared angrily. Boundless demonic aura rolled in his hand, forming a death scythe. Black aura surrounded the scythe, emitting fluctuations that made one's heart tremble. On the virtuous child's side, there was also a golden wheel in his hand. As it spun, heaven and earth shattered. "Die for me, you old bastard!" The evil child roared angrily and quickly slashed out with a death scythe in his hand. A huge black blade light shone in the sky, forming a crack that was almost 10,000 meters long. Boom! The old man was instantly sent flying. The void behind him was completely shattered, and he spat out large mouthfuls of blood. Fortunately, the 5-colored radiance in front of him blocked this attack. He was only affected by the impact. However, just as he stopped, his expression changed again. That was because a golden wheel had appeared above his head at some point in time. It kept spinning like a sun. At that moment, it pressed down mercilessly. Heavenly treasure wheel. It bloomed with tens of thousands of rays of light, and it even carried a trace of divine power. It directly descended like a golden mountain, shattering the void. Boom! In the vast expanse, the peerless old man used the 5-colored divine light above his head to defend himself. At the same time, countless shields and armor rushed out of his body. However, he was still sent flying, and the injuries in his body were even more serious. One had to admit that the virtuous child and the evil child were too terrifying. Each of them could contend against a peerless, mighty figure individually. At that moment, the two of them attacked together, causing the old man to feel an unprecedented crisis. When the surrounding powerhouses from all over the world saw this scene, they were also extremely shocked. Their scalps went numb. That was because they realized that the twin kings of Zhongzhou were too terrifying. They were simply invincible existences. Perhaps only extremely terrifying, peerless mighty figures could suppress them. Ordinary, peerless mighty figures would not be a match for them at all. At that moment, the saints and princes also had solemn expressions on their faces. They realized that the twin kings were definitely a peerless enemy. Below, everyone watched as the battle between the two sides continued, and it was getting more and more terrifying. The entire sky was completely destroyed, and violent energy surged for 100,000 kilometers. However, the people who came this time were all powerhouses, so the aftermath of the energy was blocked by the light curtain that everyone had formed together. Therefore, those people did not retreat and continued to watch from a close distance. After 300 moves, the old man screamed in pain, and one of his arms was cut off by the death scythe. After 400 moves, he was hit by the heavenly treasure wheel, and half of the bones in his body were shattered. Finally, after 600 moves, the 5-colored ancient treasure was snatched away by the twin kings of Zhongzhou. After 650 moves, the old man was killed. What? A peerless mighty figure was killed? Many young martial artists exclaimed in surprise. Even the older generation figures felt their scalps go numb. They realized that the twin kings of Zhongzhou were too terrifying. Moreover, they seemed to be mentally unstable. In the future, they must never mention the word monster in front of them. Boom! The old man's corpse fell from the sky and pierced through the ground. The surrounding people retreated one after another, afraid that they would be stained by the blood. After all, that was the blood of a peerless mighty figure. A single drop could kill an ordinary king. Even ordinary mighty figures did not dare to touch it. Chapter 2402. In the sky, Zhongzhou's twin kings held the 5-colored light and laughed heartily. Only then did everyone see clearly that the colorless light was a fragment. It seemed to be left behind by a broken shield. Just a fragment was enough to block Zhou's twin king's attack. One could only imagine how terrifying an intact shield would be. Needless to say, this should be the ancient castle found in the nearby ruins. Hurry up and look for it again. The surrounding people were excited. If they could find such an ancient treasure, they would be rich. Therefore, many people were looking for it. In the sky, Zhou's twin kings also snorted coldly. Their bodies flashed and disappeared into one of the ancient ruins. Seeing Zhou's twin kings leave, everyone heaved a sigh of relief. They had no choice. The other party's aura was too powerful, like the combination of a demon and a Buddha. However, in less than half an incense stick's worth of time, the sky changed again. A terrifying aura came from afar. It was like a wave, crashing in all directions. The sound was very loud, as if 10,000 thunderbolts were surging. All the cultivators around the fish raised their heads and looked into the distance. Then they cried out in alarm. That was because there was a sky full of light swaying in front of them. It was like a divine red light flying over quickly. A large amount of clouds and mist rolled, and roars could be heard. A terrifying aura spread across the world. Those were demonic beasts. An old man cried out in alarm. The others felt their scalps go numb. Could it be that the demonic beasts had arrived? At this moment, everyone narrowed their eyes. Soon, someone snorted coldly. It's not the demonic beasts. Look, there are people sitting on those demonic beasts. They're humans. Heavens, which faction are they from? Why are they riding on such terrifying demonic beasts? Those people were stunned. In the sky, those demonic beasts rushed over quickly. They stepped on the void, and their bodies were covered in auspicious clouds. They were extremely terrifying. When they got closer, everyone realized that those demonic beasts were extremely huge. Each of them was like a mountain, and their bodies emitted a terrifying aura. Not only that, but they were all wearing armor. Obviously, they were demonic beasts that had been tamed by humans. At the front was a gale beast. It was a demonic bird. It was extremely huge, and its entire body was green. A terrifying gale surrounded its body. It spread its wings, and green light surrounded it. A young man in green armor sat on top of it. His aura was extremely sharp. Not only that, but there was also a large flag behind him that was fluttering in the wind. The banner was 1,000 meters long, and runes revolved around it. It was obvious that it was a terrifying treasure. What is this? Everyone's gaze followed the large flag. Soon, they saw 2 words written on the flag that was fluttering in the wind. Light-shaking realm. This was the wavering light, holy land. Everyone's scalp went numb. They were all too familiar with the people of the Eastern Barren Territory. The faces of the people from the other continents also changed. They had all heard about the wavering light, holy land. This was an extremely terrifying sacred ground. It was the only sacred ground that had never produced a great emperor but possessed an extreme weapon. Boom! Boom! After arriving in the vicinity, the hundreds of Yao kings in the sky quickly descended. The people below automatically dispersed, creating a large vacuum. Although there were only a few hundred demon kings, there were quite a number of people who came. This was because some demon kings could have hundreds of people standing on them. For example, there was a flying python that was nearly 10,000 meters long. It circled in the sky like a winged dragon. Among them, the most eye-catching one was a demon king that looked like a qilin. There was a young man sitting on it. He was surrounded by 108 halos like a god. He was very dazzling. The wavering light saint. Everyone exclaimed, "That's right. The young man who looked like a god was a very famous, peerless genius in the eastern wilderness, the wavering light saint." Beside the qilin, there was a green phoenix that was surrounded by multicolored light. There was also a woman sitting on it. She was extremely beautiful. She was the wavering light saint. As soon as the wavering light saint appeared, she attracted the attention of countless young geniuses. It couldn't be helped because the wavering light saint was too beautiful. They couldn't take their eyes off her. Boom! However, at this moment, the sound of thunder came from the distant sky again. Everyone's gaze shifted away from the wavering light saint and looked into the distance. Is that a dragon? Many people exclaimed, because in the distance, 9 huge black figures had appeared. Each of them was a few thousand meters long and shone with spiritual light. They were baring their fangs and brandishing their claws. They were surrounded by auspicious clouds. This scene was like a giant dragon. No. Soon, an elder shook his head. It wasn't a dragon, but it was close. It was a flood dragon. 9 dragons pulling a chariot. Heavens, which family are these people from? Isn't it too terrifying? They're using flood dragons to pull their chariots. How extravagant! How extravagant! Many people exclaimed. At this moment, the saints of the various sacred grounds also turned their heads. The people of the wavering light, sacred ground who had just landed also looked up at the sky. Behind the 9 flood dragons, there were mighty chariots that were pulling them. On the chariots, runes flashed and formed a mysterious ancient word. Yi. It's the Yi family. The Yi family of the ancients. They're here too, everyone exclaimed. The Yi family was a family that had produced a great emperor. It was an extremely terrifying ancient's family. For a moment, everyone's heart sank. Roar, roar, roar. The 9 flood dragons came close and stopped in midair. They roared at the sky, and their terrifying voices shook the 9 heavens, causing the blood of the people below to churn. What terrifying flood dragons! Everyone's heart trembled. However, the terrifying monster kings of the wavering light, sacred ground who had just landed also roared as if they were demonstrating their power. Boom! Boom! It was as if thousands of beasts were roaring in the sky. Terrifying cracks even appeared. Wavering light, you're here so early. At this moment, a majestic voice came from one of the chariots in the sky. The Yi family is not late either. Below, there was also a response from the savage beasts. Peerless figures. Although there were only 2 voices, they were even more terrifying than the roar of the beasts. Everyone's heart trembled. Needless to say, those were 2 extremely terrifying figures. They did not expect that both the wavering light, sacred ground, and the Yi family would send such terrifying figures. It seemed that they were determined to win this time's saint's tomb. However, it was not over yet. After the Yi family, countless rays of light flew over. One by one, the terrifying sacred grounds, great sects, and aristocratic families arrived. The sky was filled with rays of light. Countless demonic beasts roared, and divine lightning fell from the sky. The chariots were filled with a savage aura. It was really a grand occasion. However, those terrifying scenes only lasted for a while before those people from the major forces began to descend. They explored the surrounding ancient ruins. Therefore, the sky gradually regained its tranquility. However, everyone's heart could not calm down. Almost all of them had arrived. A few young people heaved a sigh of relief. Although the battle had not yet begun, just this scene alone made their blood boil. This was only the saint's tomb. If the nest of 10,000 dragons appeared, the scene would probably be 100 times more spectacular. Was the nest of 10,000 dragons really there? Chapter 2403. Was the nest of 10,000 dragons really there? Yes, it was rumored that it was the land of the dragons. Did dragons really exist? Many people exclaimed. It was as if another fluctuation appeared in the sky. Everyone raised their heads again. Someone else was coming. Indeed, someone else was coming. A large black ship was flying quickly in the sky. Endless dark light surrounded it, and demonic clouds rolled as if it had come from the underworld. What kind of force was this? Everyone frowned. The other party only had a large black ship. It could be said that it was much smaller than the remote antiquity families and the sacred ground. However, the aura emitted by this large black ship was incomparably terrifying. Therefore, for a moment, it made people confused. The large black ship flew in the sky, casting down tens of thousands of rays of light. Its appearance attracted the attention of many people. For a moment, many people pointed at it and discussed animatedly. This ship was the black demon ship that Lin Xian and the others were on. At this moment, the black demon ship gradually slowed down. The figures on it swayed and looked down, exclaiming one after another. There were so many people down there. How terrifying! That was a chariot pulled by 9 dragons. Heavens, that was the Yi family. Voices sounded one after another. Xing Tian also stood up and came to Lin Xian's door. He said respectfully, "Young master, we're here." "Got it." Lin Xian's voice came from the room. In the next moment, the door opened and Lin Xian walked out. It was the aura of the 5 elements' power. Xing Tian was surprised when he sensed the remaining aura on Lin Xian's body. It seemed that the young master had mastered the 5 elements sword. To be honest, he was too shocked. Although he knew that the young master was talented, it was too fast. After all, the 5 elements sword was a heaven-grade technique. It would probably take decades to master it. However, Lin Xian actually mastered it in a month or 2. It was really shocking. After Lin Xian came out, the Crimson Dragon also came out. It laughed like an old monster. "Ha ha! Ben Huang has finally developed a few new formations. Kid, I'll show you their power later. Damn, this is a flood dragon." Before Lin Xian could reply, the Crimson Dragon exclaimed. Not only him, but many people on the Black Demon ship also looked over. After all, the sight of 9 dragons pulling a carriage was too spectacular. 9 huge Jiao dragons circled in the air. Their scales shone with a cold light as if they were made of divine iron. Which clan was this? Lin Xian asked. Xing Tian said, "It was the Yi family. The runes on the chariot were exclusive to the Yi family." The Yi family, a family of the remote antiquity. Lin Xian narrowed his eyes when he heard that. Previously, he had interacted with the Yi clan. He even had a friendly relationship with a genius from the Yi clan. Yang Qi wondered if Leaf Dao Denier had come this time. In addition to Yi Wu Dao, there was also Gu Santong from the Gu clan. He was the one who had helped the All Beginnings Holy Maiden become the All Beginnings Holy Lands, All Beginnings Holy Lands, Holy Maiden. Other than that, there were also a few enemies. For example, the 10,000 Lightning Saint Sun and the other branches of the All Beginnings Holy Land. Tuoba family. Wait, thinking of this, the corners of Lin Xian's mouth curled up into a smile. I wonder if those old friends of mine have come? In the next moment, he asked, "Who has come?" "Young master, there are quite a lot of people here this time. In addition to the Yi family, Alcade, Jade Lake, and other sacred grounds have also come. Not only that, but those peerless great sects have also come. It could be said that all the heroes had gathered. Have the people from the Gu clan come? Yes. By the way, have the people from the Purple Dawn Holy Land come?" Lin Xian asked. He remembered Xinjing Qiu. She had entered the Purple Dawn Holy Land. It had been a long time since he had seen that little girl. He hadn't seen her yet, but she should be coming. Xing Tian said. Lin Xian nodded. His eyes flickered. It seemed that the saint's tomb had really caused a big commotion this time. However, he knew that a large part of it was caused by the nest of 10,000 dragons. After all, the saint's tomb alone was not enough to alarm the entire world. He looked down, and the light in his eyes became sharper and sharper. It seemed that the trip to the tomb this time would not be simple. That was because there were too many powerhouses below. Some of them were not weaker than the Immortal Palace. Lin Xian's eyes flickered. The Black Demon ship floated in the void and did not come down. The people below were extremely puzzled. What was going on? What was this person doing? Indeed, they were very puzzled. That was because, until now, they had not recognized the other party's identity. The other party did not send anyone out, nor did they land. Instead, they floated in the sky. At this moment, a tall man rushed up and asked coldly, "May I know which sect you are from?" "Immortal Palace." Lin Xian looked down and said indifferently, "What? Immortal Palace?" Hearing this, everyone was stunned. Immortal Palace? What kind of organization was that? They had never heard of it. Since it was named Immortal, it seemed that its background was not simple. They discussed animatedly. It couldn't be helped. Immortal Palace had been very low-key before. Although they were powerful, not many people really knew about them. Therefore, at this moment, when this name came out, many people were puzzled. Originally, they thought that it would be some unparalleled sect or peerless sacred ground. However, they did not expect that the other party was not one. Instead, it was an organization that they had never heard of. What Immortal Palace? At this moment, someone sneered. Even the clan of the ancients did not dare to use the name Immortal. Who do you think you are? How dare you call yourself Immortal Palace? That's right. Who knows if there are immortals in this world? Aren't you too arrogant to use the name Immortal Palace? For a moment, many people sneered. Those who came here were all the top forces in the world. Naturally, they were not convinced. Why did the other party dare to use the name Immortal Palace? Even the clan of the ancients did not dare to do so. Buzz! Uft! Hearing these words, the people of Immortal Palace on the black demon ship frowned. Lin Xian snorted coldly. In the next moment, Ghost Li, who was behind him, suddenly disappeared. Several screams came from the crowd below. Ah! 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 Uft! Several heads flew up and blood spurted out. This scene caused panic on the ground below. Humph! At this moment, Ghost Li's voice also sounded. Those who dared to provoke Immortal Palace would be killed without mercy. What? There's an assassin! Seeing this scene, the surrounding people were shocked. The others shouted angrily, "Damn it! Do you want to start a war with us?" This scene attracted the attention of everyone in the surroundings. In an instant, the various sacred grounds, peerless sects, and those aristocratic families all looked over. Among them, some of the saints and saintesses frowned when they saw the scene. What was the background of Immortal Palace? How dare they attack directly? Moreover, the other party's strength was not bad. He killed several geniuses in an instant. Most likely, this was an extremely terrifying killer. However, the clans that had been killed were enraged. What kind of joke was this? The other party dared to attack them? They were courting death. Moreover, what was even more despicable was that this was a public slap to their faces. Chapter 2404. If they did not fight back and kill the other party, how are they going to survive in the future? One had to know that the people here were all top forces. Therefore, they could not swallow their pride, and they could not afford to lose face like this. Boom! The martial artists from these families shouted coldly, and a powerful aura swept out, causing everyone to retreat in fear. The terrifying airwave turned into a sharp sword, slashing in all directions. Ghostly sneered and quickly retreated. In an instant, he retreated to the black demon ship and looked down coldly. Damn it, go to hell! Immortal Palace? How dare you kill our people? You're dead meat. Among them, a young man roared. He formed a seal with both hands and spat out balls of flame from his mouth. The terrifying flames soared into the sky as if they could burn everything. The entire void was completely melted. The surrounding people also kept retreating, their faces full of fear. What a terrifying flame! Humph! However, Ghostly sneered disdainfully. In the next moment, his pale hand reached out and grabbed in front of him. In an instant, the divine flames in the sky were extinguished. Not only that, the void split open, and a black claw crossed the space and appeared in front of the young man. In the next moment, it hit the young man. Bang! The young man vomited blood and flew backward, smashing into a mountain in the distance and shattering 2 peaks. What? How could this be? When the surrounding people saw this scene, they were shocked. However, the people from the other 2 forces had ugly expressions. Damn it, who are you? Do you know that we're from 5 Elements Palace? Below, the martial artists roared. 5 Elements Palace was a large sect in Eastern Wilderness. They cultivated the 5 Elements technique and were a very terrifying sect. They did not expect that someone would dare to challenge them. Moreover, they did not know who the other party was. This made them extremely angry. The people on the other side also sneered. We're from the 9 heavens, sacred ground. Hurry up and kneel down and apologize. Otherwise, when the experts of our sacred ground and the sane arrive, you're dead meat. 9 heavens, sacred ground? They're from the sacred ground. The surrounding people were in an uproar. They did not expect that the people who were killed would have such a powerful background. In fact, it made sense. Those who could stand here were all from sacred grounds or large sections. Ordinary families would not dare to come close. I don't care about your 9 heavens, holy ground, or 5 Elements Palace. Since you dare to provoke my immortal palace, there is only one outcome. At this moment, another cold snort came from the black ship. The next moment, Hu Yidao also flew down. He stood in the void and looked around. Those who refused to submit could come up and die. Damn it, they had gone too far. The cultivators from 5 Elements Palace and 9 heavens, holy ground, were enraged. When had they ever suffered such contempt? In the next moment, the people from the 2 forces quickly attacked. A middle-aged man from the 5 Stars Palace waved his hand and shot out black water that filled the sky. The water surged in the sky and turned into a black flood dragon that pounced over. On the other side, the people from the 9 heavens, holy ground, snorted coldly as they displayed a terrifying skill. An immortal palace condensed in the sky and descended from the sky, trying to suppress Hu Yidao and ghostly Humph. Hu Yidao snorted coldly. He pulled out the full moon scimitar from his waist and slashed out directly. One saber slashed toward the sky, while the other slashed forward. The 2 saber lights seemed to have come from the sky, bringing with them an astonishing aura. Boom! As the saber fell, the black flood dragon in the sky was split into 2 halves. It wailed and scattered in all directions. With another slash, the 9 heavens immortal palace above was directly split into pieces. Bang! 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 As for the 2 people who had attacked, they were retreating non-stop. Their faces were pale. They looked at this scene and were shocked. Damn it, it's impossible. How could they be so powerful? They were about to go crazy. Who are they? How could they have so many masters? When the other experts saw this scene, they also frowned. This immortal palace is not simple. On the black demon ship, Lin Xian and the others looked at this scene and smiled. Very good, this kind of appearance is very suitable for Immortal Palace. It's just right to deter these people. Anyway, Immortal Palace had changed their strategy and did not intend to continue hiding. Whoosh! At this time, a white light flashed on Lin Xian's shoulder, and the snow-white monkey jumped out. It looked forward with its big black eyes and blinked excitedly. Woo, woo, woo! The snow-white monkey pulled Lin Xian's hair and pointed forward anxiously. When Lin Xian saw the scene, he asked softly, "Why? Is there a treasure ahead?" The snow-white monkey nodded and seemed to be urging. Lin Xian said with a smile, "You little guy, don't you have a treasure bowl? Go get it yourself." Little White puffed up its cheeks and sat on Lin Xian's shoulder. It took off the broken bowl on its head and muttered something. It looked like a little charlatan. Gradually, its body emitted a white light. Qianfang's small bowl also emitted a mysterious energy. In the next moment, a light flashed and a treasure appeared in the small bowl. It was a jade pendant, but only half of it was. The qilin carved on it was also only half. However, there was a savage aura on it. It should be an ancient treasure. Seeing that it was really caught, Lin Xian was surprised. The surrounding people also exclaimed. The snow-white monkey was very happy and kept clapping its hands. What kind of method is this? Telekinesis. Universe shift? The surrounding Immortal Palace martial artists were also stunned. They had seen the snow-white monkey before and thought that it was only used to act cute. They didn't expect it to have such a method. It was simply a sharp weapon to snatch treasures. Lin Xian was also surprised because he realized that this treasure was not simple. It seemed that Little White's strength had increased recently. However, thinking about it, it made sense. After eating so many treasures every day, it would be strange if it didn't grow. Ah, damn it. Who did this to him? Who dares to snatch my treasure? I'll definitely kill him. I don't want to do it. Obediently give me the treasure and kowtow 10 times, and I'll spare your life. 2 voices sounded. One was as crazy as a demon king, and the other was as deep as a god. The 2 voices exploded in the air, shattering the sky. What's going on? What happened? All the surrounding experts were stunned. That was because the voices were too terrifying. In the next moment, they looked around. Soon, they saw countless rays of light rushing out from the distance. Half of the sky turned into black, demonic clouds, while the other half was golden as if a Buddha had descended. Those were the twin kings of Middle Ground. Heavens, who dares to oppose the twin kings of Middle Ground? Are they not afraid of death? Is it those saints and saintesses? Cries of surprise sounded one after another. It seemed that someone had snatched the Twin Kings' treasures. Those people were too shocked. This was because not long ago, the Central Continent's Twin Kings had killed a peerless almighty in front of everyone. That method was shocking. They didn't expect that not long after, someone dared to provoke them. Chapter 2405. Golden waves and billowing demonic aura covered the entire sky. This scene attracted everyone's attention. Damn it! Who is it that stole my treasure? Was it you? The Twin Kings were domineering, and they stared at a martial artist. This was also an old man, and he quickly shook his head. However, he was sent flying by the demonic aura in the sky. Was it you? They warned another young man. This young man snorted coldly and ignored them. You're courting death. You're not answering. You're suspicious. The Twin Kings were furious. The evil one waved his hand, and a black demonic aura appeared and shot forward. The demonic aura was fast and accurate, and it arrived in front of the young man in an instant. Whoosh! The crowd exclaimed. The Twin Kings of Middle Ground were too domineering, and they attacked without saying anything. Whoosh! The young man's body swayed, and he instantly dodged the terrifying attack. The next moment he looked forward, and his aura suddenly erupted. A terrifying aura rushed out, and its power was no weaker than the Twin Kings of Middle Ground. Who are you? The Twin Kings frowned when they felt the other party's aura. The Taishan Sect Saint. A cold voice sounded. The crowd exclaimed. They did not expect the Twin Kings of Middle Ground to meet a young saint. Most likely, there would be a world-shaking battle. The crowd was excited. The Twin Kings of Middle Ground snorted coldly. So what if he was the Taishan Saint? Tell me quickly, did you steal my treasure? Humph, do you think I care about your treasure? The Taishan Saint snorted coldly. I'll know whether you stole it or not when I see it. The evil one stretched out a black, demonic claw and grabbed at the Taishan Saint. Seeing this, the Taishan Saint was furious. How dare the other party attack him? The next moment, he waved his hand, and a shocking light lit up the sky. It was like a shocking divine light that rushed up. In an instant, the black demonic aura was split open. If you dare to be presumptuous again, don't blame me for being impolite. The Taishan Saint's cold voice sounded. You're courting death." The evil one was furious. The good one said solemnly, "Brother, stop. It's not him. He doesn't have the aura of that treasure." "Then who was it? Was it you?" The evil kid looked in another direction and stretched out his palm. However, in the next moment, a shocking sword chi rushed out and pressed down like a mountain. The two collided in the sky, releasing a shocking aura. What? Someone actually blocked the attack of the Central State Twin Kings. Who was this person? In the next moment, the crowd cried out in surprise. It was the saint son of Dian. "It's not him." The virtuous son shook his head. Hearing this, the evil son immediately gave up on his opponent. The next moment he attacked again. In an instant, one figure after another appeared, and the crowd cried out in surprise. Their cries of surprise even shook the entire world. The 10,000 Thunder, Holy Sun, Saintess of all beginnings, the 7th Prince of the Skyscraper, the 3rd Prince of Yin Shang. One by one, the young geniuses appeared and stood in the void, causing the entire void to distort. These people's eyes were cold. They frowned as they looked at the Central State's Twin Kings. Even though the other party was strong, he was way too brazen, wasn't he? To think that he would dare to strike out at these supreme geniuses, one after another. What was he trying to do? For a moment, the atmosphere was incomparably heavy. However, the Twin Kings did not pay any attention to these people. Among them, the virtuous son's eyes suddenly burst with a piercing, cold light. His eyes flickered as he turned his head to look into the distance. There was a large black ship there. Then he said, "Brother, I found him. He's on that large black ship." "What, a large black ship?" Hearing this, the evil son's eyes bloomed with a piercing cold light, like two black heavenly blades that directly pierced over. The void in front of him broke open, and the evil son's demonic aura surged into the sky. It was as if he had turned into a beautiful demon king. Whoosh! The Twin Kings of Zhongzhou's figure flashed and directly rushed over. Were they going to attack? The Saint Son of Myriad Thunder was standing in that direction. When he saw this scene, his face turned gloomy. Although the Twin Kings of Zhongzhou were powerful, if they really wanted to attack, he would not hold back. Boom! An endless sea of lightning surged in his body, and he was about to attack. However, soon he was stunned. That was because he found that the Twin Kings were very fast and had passed by him in an instant. It seemed that they were not going to attack him. Therefore, in the next moment, he suddenly turned around and looked behind him. He wanted to see who the other party was going to attack. He wasn't the only one. The other saints and princes also turned to look. The surrounding powerhouses were also staring intently. The next moment, they exclaimed in surprise. It was that large black ship. They were attacking that large black ship. Was that the organization that called itself Immortal Palace? Everyone was shocked. However, the Nine Heavens' divine emperor and the people of the 5 Elements sect sneered. Humph! Let's see what Immortal Palace will do. They should be beaten down in an instant. At that time, I'd like to see if they still have the face to call themselves Immortal Palace. For a moment, everyone was discussing animatedly. On the large black ship, Lin Xian frowned. In front of him, Ghost Li and Hu Yidao shouted coldly, and their auras suddenly erupted. "Damn you, stop right there." Ghost Li waved his hand and took out the white bone banner. Boom! Endless, vengeful souls and malicious ghosts screamed miserably. The entire space turned into a ghost realm, and everyone's scalps went numb. Hu Yidao, who was at the side, slashed out 3 times. The terrifying blade, light, tore through the void and formed a fan shape as it slashed forward. Humph! How dare you block my way? You're courting death. The evil son shouted coldly. He raised his hand and slashed forward with the death scythe. The virtuous son also activated the celestial treasure wheel in his hand. Tens of thousands of rays of light danced in the air like a golden Milky Way. Boom! Boom! In the sky, the sound of violent collisions rang out. Terrifying energy erupted and swept out in all directions. After that attack, Ghost Li and Hui Dao kept retreating. The qi and blood in their bodies were tumbling. Zhou's twin kings only slowed down a little, but they were still flying forward. The strength of that attack was immediately determined. Seeing that scene, everyone exclaimed in surprise. They had to admit that the twin kings were too powerful. Both Ghost Li and Hui Dao had shown their powerful strength before. They were definitely young top talents. But now, the two of them could not stop the twin kings. One could only imagine how terrifying the twin kings were. Damn it! Ghost Li's face darkened when he saw that. The next moment, a cold light appeared in his eyes. Whoosh! Whoosh! The black robe on his body suddenly fluttered, and a powerful and terrifying force erupted from his body. It was as if he had turned into a ghost king. The evil son's face changed when he felt that aura, but he still snorted. How dare you compete with me in terms of aura? The virtuous son shook his head slightly. No, brother, this is not devil chi, but ghost chi. He cultivates the path of ghost. Be careful not to be entangled by those vengeful souls. Otherwise, you'll have nightmares at night. You're tuning in to the Thunder Spear YouTube channel. Don't forget to subscribe and join us on this journey to catch the most captivating stories.